Community Board 4, Business License and Permits Committee. We are meeting via Zoom, which is the governor's executive order permitting us to do this rather than meeting face-to-face in person. The open meetings law has been suspended, but temporarily through January 15th. And we are being recorded, and we are streaming on our YouTube channel. Community Board 4 has its own YouTube channel. I'd like to tell you, if you haven't been here, describe how we operate. The applicant provides information about what they're applying for, who they are, and then we have questions and discussions by committee members. And then we have anybody from the community who has a question or a comment. And then we take a vote. Our vote here is a recommendation to the full board, which meets the first Wednesday of each month. So our recommendation go to the full board, which will meet in February, and they will make a recommendation, either adopting ours or modifying our recommendation, and send it to the state liquor authority. My name is Bert Lasman. I'm the co-chair, and someplace here is the other co-chair.
All right, Doug Frank, Carl Zubiak, the other co-chair.
And will the committee members please introduce themselves?
This is Twee Pham, committee member.
Tina Nelson, committee member.
Wendy Gonzalez, committee member.
Ted Arenas, committee member.
Candace Hewitt.
Hi. Carrie Keenan, committee member.
Peggy Co, committee member.
Kristen Berte, committee member.
Mike Noble, committee member. Yeah, Mike Noble here.
Inga Ivchenko, public member.
Rob, did you introduce yourself?
Rob Walker, committee member.
Okay. So we have an agenda. Everybody has seen that agenda. If you're not aware, 2 items on the agenda, number 5 and number 7, have been postponed until next month. Items 5 and 7 on our agenda. Frank, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just to, in case there are new people here, this committee, and in fact, the full Community Board 4 has no power to grant or deny a liquor license. After each application, this committee will take a vote on what to recommend to the full board. And the full board will then take its own vote on these matters at its next full board meeting on February 2nd. The full board then simply makes a recommendation to the SLA about whether to grant or deny a liquor license. But all the power to actually grant or deny that license rests with the SLA. So anyone concerned about the outcome on the community board level can certainly directly participate in the SLA part of the process by writing to them or even showing up at hearings to the extent they are occurring virtually now.
Okay. So let's proceed with our agenda. Item number 1 on our agenda, 359 West 39th Street, Otani Inc. By the way, our agenda is arranged by categories. This is category number 1, corporate change application. In other words, the operator is changing their corporation. It's the same operation. Okay, is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. My co-founder is also here. He cannot I think he on the attendees list. So Okay. All right. I will start. So my name is Maureen, and my co-founder is Nop Chusang. So we are on 404 West 49th Street. And the title is wrong. The restaurant name Lam Lam. So we are a small restaurant. It's gonna be the sit down restaurant, and we open 12 until 10 p.m. We have both lunch and dinner. Yeah. And we have 46 indoor seats and 4 seats at the bar. So the total for the indoor seating gonna be 50. Yeah.
It doesn't look like the document we have, right?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. I think I may not be the only one confused. What you're describing is not what we have before us.
Oh, she's describing, I think this lady is describing 49th Street, not 39.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about 404 49th Street?
yeah.
No.
Item
No.
number 1 on the agenda is 359 West 39th Street.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And
Is the applicant there?
wait,
Oh, the applicant is there. Akito Otani, right? You are on
that's
mute.
what I thought.
You're
Oh, there
on
you
mute,
are.
so we can't hear you.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. Thank you. Sorry for computer issue.
So let's start again now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Could you describe your operation? And this is a corporate chain, meaning
Yes. For the I have my liquor license since 2019. Then my business partner passed away, so I need to transfer her stock to myself. So I need to corporate change for the stock to all myself for having 100%.
okay. The methods of operation you have listed, there's no change from before.
Yeah, no change.
All we're
Yeah.
talking about is a change in the corporation that
Yes.
owns the place.
Right.
It's
Yes.
responsible for the
Mhm.
restaurant.
Right.
Okay. I want to be clear on that, not to be confused. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And what we have in front of us, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week, capacity 74, 4 tables, seating 9 people. That's you. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Okay.
Any questions from the committee?
Yeah, I do. Why the change from the 11 o'clock time to a 2 o'clock close?
No, there is no change.
Yeah, he says there's no change, Rob.
But I'm looking here, and the hours that it gives online is till 11 o'clock, and the hours that they're applying to is until 2 o'clock.
Rob, the hours they stipulated with us a couple of years ago were 2 a.m.
No change in the stipulation.
The hours online are probably, last seating or last reservation, but they don't have to stay open, the full time they have on their liquor license.
No, I understood. I was just curious. I thought that was a change in time. Sorry about that, guys.
Good question, though. Understandable. Any additional questions, comments?
I want to make a motion.
On the motion?
Second.
Wait, we checked.
Do we
Nellie, anyone from the public?
Yes, I have one hand raised. Tina?
Me? My hand is raised up?
No,
Somebody from the public, Tina.
someone from
Oh,
the
okay,
public.
sorry. I went in and out.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so you brought me over.
Tina looks familiar.
I did have my hand raised, but not for this particular, I'll at the next break, or before the next one, I'll ask my question, but not in reference to this applicant. Sorry about that.
Okay. So we
Okay,
have a
and the
motion.
resolution is, Christine?
What? We have a motion to approve, and I think there was a second, right?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Absent, present not eligible? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So should I stay here, sir? Or
If you're interested to see what happens with everybody else,
then
but
so
your business is finished.
okay, sure. So just wait for the. I have to apply for the states next, or anything I have to do for corporate change.
Well, yeah, the license has to be changed by
Okay.
the corporation is. You have a lawyer, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yes. So just tell them, it's a community board passed. Just tell them to my lawyer, right?
Well,
No, not
we're
yet.
We're
Not yet?
making a
Okay.
recommendation to the full board, which
Okay.
meets on February 2nd, and the full board will make the recommendation to the state liquor authority.
So I will receive email from community board.
No,
Or I have
just
to-
anytime after February 2nd, you can, your lawyer can go forward with the SLA.
I said it. Okay, sure. After
Okay.
February
Thank you.
February 2nd. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next group of applicants are those who are altering their method of operations. They're making alterations or changing their method of operation. The first item actually number 2 on the agenda, is 321 West 44th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue, New York Beer and Beverage Company. If you look at the agenda, they're making an alteration, shortening the existing customer bar, moderate changes in the dining area. They're adding a service bar, and they're adding an outdoor seating area. Is the applicant here?
Yes, Bert, thank you. My name is Mike Palutis. I'm an attorney. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm here on behalf of New York Beer and Beverage LLC, our client. I'm joined by two principals, Brian Connell and Anthony Doyle. Brian, if you want to say hi.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Sorry it's not in person. This is my first Zoom community board ever, but good to see you.
So as you said, Bert, we're here on an alteration. It really is just the addition of a small service bar, shortening of the main bar. They're going to rearrange some tables and chairs inside, and yes, implement some open restaurant space. Other than that, there are no changes, no other alterations, so I'm not going to belabor what we put in the questionnaire. We did notify the block associations, all of them. We did the postings throughout the block as you folks requested, and we haven't met with any opposition, at least thus far. So happy to answer any questions you folks have.
Okay, thank you. I see Christine has raised her hand.
Yes, clarification, Michael. I can't read on the map, on the plan that you're proposing. I can't read the distance from the outside, from the table to the curb. Could you help me on that?
Yeah, let me just blow it up. So when this diagram was optimized so I could transmit it, it looks like it became somewhat blurry. You're looking for the distance from the curb to where, Christine?
To the 3 feet outside the tables, which is the serving aisle, right?
Yeah, let me just find a.
So I just don't know whether it's 8.5 or 5.5 or. Anyway, my general comment is that this sidewalk is pretty narrow, is not very wide. and I'm a little concerned about, the flow there. And so, I mean, if it meets the 8 feet, that's fine. If there is no, but if it doesn't, I think you want to be careful about that.
I believe it does, Christine. I'm going to get you the exact dimension if you give me just a moment. It is 8 feet and then another 3 feet with the service aisle to the table. So that's per code.
And the other problem we have generally with those setup is that the applicant Brian just would install, a sandwich board to say, hey, you can drink here, etc. So you really don't want to install anything in that area between the curb and the aisle. So I just want to emphasize that because it gets really crowded.
Understood.
Okay.
Michael O'Brien, I saw in the file that we had a Sidewalk Cafe application from you back in the old days. Did you ever have a Sidewalk Cafe? Did you go forward with that?
We did.
So you did have a sidewalk.
We did at one point. Yes, Frank.
Okay. So
was that installed?
I believe it was, but I don't know for how long. I think some scaffolding went up and that frustrated the,
yes.
the use of the cafe. Yeah.
Yeah. So Christine, the reason I mentioned it is the sidewalk seating could fit even under the DCA rules.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. And so the scaffold is gone, right?
Brian, I don't think so.
Sadly, it's not.
Because generally what we would recommend is that if there is a scaffold under the DCA rule, you would not be able to install on the sidewalk, right, Frank?
We do not intend to put any tables under that scaffold. It's a disaster right now, and
okay.
We're working with the building to try and resolve it. It's there 4 years, so
yeah.
Now you couldn't really fit anything because the pipes of the scaffolding are sort of in the middle of the sidewalk. It's a real obstacle over there.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the measurement anymore, and indeed the experience is not great.
Yeah,
experience is terrible.
Yeah, and Brian, as you checked off on the form, you're not going to have any music outside, correct?
Correct.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Don't you live nearby, Frank?
That's why I walk by there all the time. I'm a block away between 9 and 10 on 44.
Right.
Okay.
Rob Walker has a question.
Kudos to you for having an ADA bathroom added into your men's and women's bathroom. The front entrance with the steps, what service do you provide for people who may be wheelchair bound?
So that's actually not steps from the street. There's a slight ramp which is ADA compliant. Everything was ADA compliant when we built the store originally in 2012.
Okay.
You took your hand down, Christine?
Yeah, I'm done.
You're done. Any other committee questions? Nellie, is there anybody from the community?
Hi, it's Peggy. I'm sorry. I had a quick question just about the lighting. No worries. I just put my hand up. I noticed that in your application, I think you plan to change your current lighting, your outside lighting, the signage, sorry. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's something we had planned actually even before COVID, when the scaffold came down, when it was supposed to come down, that we would redo our signage and our awnings. And now we're probably going to do a retractable awning and new signage and just spruce it up,
And do you currently have like an illuminated light outside?
There is an illuminated sign and an awning there at the moment, yes. You can't see it because of the scaffolding.
Because of the scaffolding.
I got you. So are you planning on are you planning on removing removing illuminated lighting, or?
Probably replacing it. Exactly with what, I'm not sure.
Sometimes I know that we're
Peggy,
just. Sorry, Frank, go on.
I was going to say, this may be what you're getting at, Brian. On that block, signage can only extend, I think it's 18 inches from the facade, which is why everyone has those narrow signs, as I think you do.
Yeah.
So, just make sure you keep the zoning in mind. Because one of the places down nearer 9th Avenue across the street had to take down a massive sign, a massive neon sign at great expense.
Understood.
Yeah, so Peggy, the signage depends on the zoning, but in that block, I believe it can only extend out 18 inches, which is why you have a lot of those strange, thin vertical signs.
Got it. And Frank, sorry, could you clarify as well? So, I mean, sometimes I know that illuminated lighting can obviously be offensive in certain neighborhoods to certain neighbors. So I know that's something that, you know, we're always kind of just ensuring that it aligns with whatever's currently there or currently, you know, it just doesn't cause any harm to any neighbors. So.
And I think in this location, Brian, you're sort of opposite the parking garage, right?
We're directly opposite the parking garage, and it's a full commercial building, as is 100% of that side of the street. There is a 10-foot neon sign. As you said, it's 18 inches. It's one of those strange long ones, but it's 10 foot high, lit with neon. That's been there for nearly 10 years, hasn't bothered anyone yet. So.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Now, anybody from the community know it?
No, there's no one with a hand raised.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
2 seconds, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Present not eligible? Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you guys
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Item 3 on our agenda is 176 8th Avenue between 18th and 19th Street.
Hi, everybody.
Aye.
Aye.
And my name is Martin Miller. I'm the attorney for the applicant, actually the licensee. The licensee, Matthias Van Layden, is also here. Basically, all they want to do is rearrange things downstairs. There's presently a ground floor and a basement. The ground floor is a restaurant. It holds about 50 to 55 people. The basement holds approximately 40 people. And he's looking to change his method of operation solely downstairs. I can go over it briefly, but if you want to have more of exactly what is going to happen, I will leave it to Matthias to explain. But what he wants to do is in the lower room, 4 days a week, from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., would have on 2 nights a live jazz band, and on 1 night a stand-up comedian come, and on the other night he wants to have classes to teach patrons about wine and how to make cocktails, etc. Then from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. he's downstairs. He can stay open until 2 a.m. He would like to have a DJ, but the DJ will not be promoted in any way. It's just going to add to the ambiance that's within the lounge concept that they have down there. And I would hope that you would understand that he's had no problems with the liquor authority in the past 2 years. He's been open for 2 years, and would like to have this addition so that he can recoup some of the tremendous losses he's had as a result of COVID and related problems. There was a fire there because of some maniac who decided to go around burning things down, and he's had some robberies in the place, and quite frankly needs this in a very big way so they can supplement the restaurant. The restaurant gets rave reviews. It's liked by the community, and the atmosphere downstairs is one of dignity and quality. And he has no intentions of ruining the reputation he has thus far gained in the community. And if you have any questions, or if Matthias would like to add to what I just said, he's here too.
Martin, I have a threshold question. When the two of you appeared before us back in March of 2019, Matthias stipulated that there would be no music or live performance of any kind, and that the doors and windows would be closed whenever there was any kind of music inside.
That's true. That is true.
We've gotten reports from the community, though, that there have actually been like live combos playing outside and also sometimes inside with the windows open so it can be heard outside. I don't have any personal knowledge about that, but is that going on? Has that been going on?
I'm not aware of any of that, but have Matthias answer.
I can respond. Yeah, I mean, we did have on Sundays a live band inside. After COVID happened and everything happened, it was a survival mode for everybody. And we went through a lot. I mean, could you imagine? I closed down pretty much 2 weeks after I opened, after I saw you guys, and I opened on February 19th, March 15th, we have to close down like everybody else. With being careful about the noise and responding to any complaints I had while it was, survival. I did have a band on Sundays inside the restaurant, and
well, Matthias, all bars and restaurants are having problems, and most of the operators were either continuing with what they had agreed to do or coming back to seek changes. I also have been told that one of the community members actually requested a mediation with the city nightlife office, and you went to that, but you wouldn't commit to changing any of these methods of operation, which you weren't supposed to have in the first place.
No, it's not what I said. So we did have a mediator. There's one person only, and one person that's across the street. I think he has personal vendetta against me because I don't have only one neighbor, right? I have a lot of neighbors, and the only person that's come to me repeatedly, it happens sometimes. You have somebody who's against you, and I try to do my best. I'm on text message with him every single time he has an issue or there's a problem. People were parking cars in front of the hydrant, sometimes in front of my restaurant. He had an issue with that. If it was somebody that was in my restaurant, I would have the car moved. So I'm directly in contact with that person to make sure he stays happy. I don't know if he's on this meeting right now. If he's here, he can talk about it. I'm here to make sure that nobody has issues with us. And I'm here to make sure that I want to survive. Obviously, I invested everything I had in this business. It's been very difficult. We also had a fire. I don't know if you heard about it. I was shut down for 3 months after this. So it's been quite a difficult road. So yes, I did slightly bend the rules for a minute when I needed to, and I stopped the music right after. And that's why I'm here in front of you right now to make sure we make this the right way and apply for it the right way. I'm not looking to ruin anybody's quality of life in the neighborhood.
Well, I find it, if I may say, I understand the conditions under which you're operating. Everyone has been operating under very, very severe conditions. But I do find it disturbing that you agreed to stipulations and that you didn't follow them in terms of the live music.
Yeah,
I find that disturbing.
Okay, well, I find it disturbing that my restaurant burned down. I was robbed 3 times.
I heard that. I hear that.
Okay.
I said, I hear.
Okay.
You are operating under very
not just
circumstances.
It's not what everything that happens to everybody else.
If you make an agreement, which is what a stipulation is, you sign on it, and then you go somewhere differently. That is not a good track record for me.
Okay. I wouldn't be here today, and I did stop this on my own, not because anyone requested it. It was not for a very long time, and I did stop it. So, I'm here on good faith, right?
Is there any committee members who have their hands raised? I'm looking.
I have a problem with it.
Committee member? Go ahead.
Yes, I honestly have a problem with someone having live music when they agreed to not have live music. I'm sorry. I just have a problem with that.
Okay. I see Twee's hand up and Tina's hand.
Yeah, I won't show my image at the moment, but I appreciate Inga's perspective in terms of the history. Not having known the history, if this were to be entertained, were there any soundproofing measures done for the basement?
Yeah, the basement is fully soundproof. You cannot hear anything from the basement, nothing at all. Even if you're inside the restaurant, you cannot hear anything from the basement. It's not, there's no windows or walls or anything directly in contact with any neighbors. And again, I've never had any complaints in a year and a half, apart from this one gentleman called Boz, which is my neighbor across the street. And I hear he's, causing issues with everybody else as well. And I'm in direct contact with Boz. I even wished him a happy new year. I said, I want to be best friends with you this year. I hope everything works out. And I'm here to help you if you have any concerns or problems. And I always respond. I can show you the text message with them. The second he has an issue with anything, I respond right away. If I call the restaurant and make sure he's, always happy. So, luckily we're a decently busy restaurant. Now it's very cold, so there's nobody really outside. After the fire, we rebuilt outside even more soundproofed. So the people talking when they are sitting outside are completely covered in those little huts. Before it was kind of open and you could hear more across the street. So rebuilt, spent a lot of money that we didn't have to make sure that we rebuild even better and nicer. So it makes, first it's more visibly attractive for the neighbors. So it looks nice when they look outside the window. And number two, it's completely soundproof. You don't hear anybody having dinner and talking if they're having dinner, until like 11 p.m. or whatever is, the latest seating that we have. So we do everything in order and always in the manner to try and make sure that it's the best for not just us, but for everybody around us.
Tina?
Yes. I mean, I was looking at some of the violations that were issued. There were a number of them, but they've already been addressed. I just want to say I agree with my co-members, but there was also a violation regarding your outdoor dining. It said street zone blocked. Can you please address that? And just to point out, I think on page 9, you answered 2 questions differently, whether there'd be a change to the facade or not. You answered yes to one and no to another. So I'm curious about that as well.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I never got an evaluation.
Okay. Really? Because I thought there was an indication on December 21st, outdoor dining street zone blocked.
No, I mean, I had somebody measure everything. It's always been in the same location. We didn't block anything. No, that's not us.
Okay, I'll go back because frankly, I thought I read that right. Okay, so
yeah, I mean, you can walk to the restaurant and see exactly. I mean, we have a hydrant right across from the restaurant. There's 15 feet on each side where, is 8 feet in the sidewalk, people to walk, with the sidewalk cafe, the tables on the sidewalk. There's,
but Matthias, Tina's question is not whether you believe your setup is okay, but did investigators come and issue you a citation or not?
No, I never got a citation.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay, I will go back to the site and check. I thought it was for your address. Then going back to the facade, page 4 of 9, I think you answered yes and then no. So are you changing the facade?
Recently, or when I build the
place? In the application, I'm sorry.
No, the facade is the same. It's painted a different color. That's it. It's not touched, untouched.
Okay, then I guess those answers should be both no.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm losing this. Do you plan any changes to the existing facade? If yes, please describe it. And we said no. What is the question that says yes?
No, the problem is, and we're working on correcting the form. The form asks the question twice, like about 5 questions apart. And he answered no on the 3rd question down. And then when the question shows up again, 7 questions down.
I see it. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That's a typo. It's no. I apologize for that. I don't know how to cut it. That's a typo. He's not changing the facade.
Okay. Christine.
Yes. So I'm not familiar with the situation, but could you help me clarify? So the complaint you have received is essentially mostly from one person. And was it related to your outdoor installation or what was happening indoor?
It's related to, the sound from the restaurant outside.
So the outdoor.
For the outdoor, yeah.
Right. The outdoor.
Christine, the email we got, I don't know if it's the same community member, but he was concerned about both the regular outdoor concerts, but also when the jazz band had been moved inside, he said they would leave the doors open and all the music would spill out. And he also has serious congestion concerns because he says staff and suppliers double park and create a bottleneck on the street.
Yeah, that's probably the same guy. That must be the same person. And the only person I have complaining about anything, and I'm in direct contact with this person too.
No, but that's not the question, Matthias. Matthias, we're asking what are the problem and what you're going to do about it, not the fact that you talk.
Yeah, so what I'm applying for right now, and
wait,
I'm not.
Wait, I'm not finished. Slow down, listen to me, and then you can answer. Sure. So that we can communicate, right? So there were three type of complaints: the congestion, the outdoor, and then the jazz inside. Now, what have you done to change the outdoor? You seem to say that you have changed the setup.
Yes, I mean, I build, they're little houses. They close completely. They have windows and doors in case another COVID situation happens. I built.
So since then, you have had no complaint about that, or
correct? Yes. No
okay. So this one is presumably fixed.
Just to finish, so are you currently having any music played outdoors?
No.
Okay, when did you stop?
A few months ago, after before the fire. So the fire was in August, right?
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So now the jazz inside, that has been happening since then?
No, it's not. So I'm trying to do a small jazz room downstairs.
No, that's not my question again. Listen to me, answer my question. This is what I'm trying to define. So the jazz issue in the main floor essentially was also noisy with windows and doors open, and you got complaints and you stopped. When did you stop?
In August. I mean, right before the fire happened. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now you are applying for doing the jazz downstairs. No music outside, right?
No music outside.
No music on the first floor.
Right. I mean, there's music. We have music. We have an iPad. There's a restaurant. We have music playing, but it's not live.
No,
right?
I'm asking whether it's low.
Low.
Okay. And then you are proposing to do jazz downstairs, right?
Only 2 days a week and only from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Okay. So now I understand better. Thank you.
Okay.
I see Jesse has his hand and then Inga.
Yeah, it's sort of just quick follow-ups to Christine's line of questioning. Sorry. So previously you had never had the live music downstairs. So we don't know what the sound will be like emanating from the cellar yet. Is that accurate, or has the jazz band ever played downstairs before?
So no jazz band downstairs, no.
Okay.
But I've had loud iPad music playing, louder than a jazz band, and there's been no complaints.
Okay, but so far you've never tried having music downstairs yet, so we don't actually know what it would sound like on the street level, if at all, if you can hear it at all.
I can answer this. I mean, I can tell you that the iPad music that I had playing was probably louder than a jazz band. So logically, you should not hear anything because you could not hear the.
We're talking about a jazz band. We're not talking about anything else. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And real quick, also, can you just tell me the name?
Decibel level.
I'm sorry?
We're talking about decibel levels, right?
Yeah.
Decibels.
Real quick, the name of the gentleman who I just want to make sure it is the same person who's sent us an email. What was his name?
I mean, he goes by Boz. I don't know his real name. That's his nickname, B-O-Z.
B-O-Z?
Yeah, that's his nickname. He's a teacher. He lives right above Crown Alley, the bar, which is a dive bar across the street from me. Directly next to me is Jungle Bird, and I believe they have a 4 a.m. license. So, anyone coming out of my place at, let's say, even 2 o'clock in the morning, all 40 people, which is a tiny space, would not really be spilling on the street on 19th Street. I mean, just to emphasis about how other places who don't really have any issues either could create more of a problem than I do.
Can we just stay with your application, please?
Yeah, let's focus on you.
Let's not talking about anybody else.
Okay, so What was the question? Yeah, Bob is the same guy. He sounds like the same person because he's the one who complained about the parking and anything else that was going on. I think he spends his time looking at the window at what we do.
That's speculation on your part, so we don't need that. Jesse, are you finished?
Yeah,
I'm finished. Yeah, thank you.
Inga?
I just have a follow-up. So when you have the iPad music on, do you have the doors and windows ever open? Or did you?
In the summer,
Yeah.
it could have happened, maybe.
Okay. And then do you have speakers, music in the little huts?
No, there's no speaker music. No.
No speakers outside whatsoever?
Okay.
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 I don't see any other committee members' hands up. I think, now I do. Now I do. I see Wendy and Rob.
Sorry, I jumped in with a quick one. I just wanted to reiterate the for the lower level that has been completely soundproofed.
Yes, I mean I have a decibel meter that I bought and I tried it and you can't hear anything. And I can show you a reading if you want. It's on site.
Just want to make sure. Thanks.
Rob?
In August, and I believe before that means we went by, and actually they did have the windows and doors open. They did have music playing. And at the time, I think prior to the fire, they did have speakers in the outside.
No.
So, but that's just what I witnessed.
Okay. Thank you, Rob.
I'll forward things to Frank in terms of anything that I have to submit.
Okay. Nellie, I think the members of the community have something to say.
Wendy is up.
Didn't you just speak, Wendy?
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Wendy. I'm sorry.
Bert, I have 4 hands raised. I have a Jude Cohen.
Bring him on in. Bring him over.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jude. Nice to meet you all. I live right next door to Lulu, and it sounds like there was a lot of concern among this group about whether or not it's a disturbance in the neighborhood, and I just wanted to attest that it's the exact opposite. It's an attractor. People love A, visiting the restaurant, but B, just the atmosphere in the neighborhood that it creates. It was actually like really sad and dark walking past it when it was closed after the fire, and people really missed it, myself included. Whenever there was music before that, I found it to be a joy, and so I didn't want the negative voices to outshout the positive ones, because a lot of the time I'm sure you only hear complaints, but it's worth the praise as well. It's one of my favorite places in the neighborhood. It makes me love living here. I literally like celebrated my birthday there. It's really just, it's a joy to be around, and it makes this part of Chelsea like really exciting and desirable. My friends tell me all the time how jealous they are that I live in such a cool place. But all of that said, my bedroom faces the street. I am only like a couple levels up from ground level. I can attest that when they were testing activity in the basement level, you can't hear anything. Even if you're walking past on the ground level, you can't hear anything. I've never seen speakers outside on the street or in the cabins. And again, I go pretty frequently, and if I'm not at the restaurant, I do walk by it every day. And like I said, my bedroom faces the street, and the only way that I can hear it is if I open my window to intentionally listen, because the music's nice and I want to hear it. But yeah, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before Jude goes, can I just ask, sorry, Jude, where exactly do you live in relation to the restaurant, like across the street or above it?
No, my building is literally attached to their building.
Okay, thanks.
Like, right next to it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Next is Susan Marshall.
Me unmute. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for being here. Hello, Matthias, and your attorney as well. I'm reporting that I am representing the 300 West 18th and 19th Streets Block Association. I'm the secretary. And our treasurer, David Sloss, and I met with Matthias, I think a week or so ago, to hear some of his plans, because we did have some concerns that some of the committee members have raised and other people in the community. We think it's a beautiful room. It's very plush. It would be a welcome addition to have a jazz club in our neighborhood. The restaurant's beautiful. It really has, brightened up the whole neighborhood. And I haven't eaten there yet, I'm sorry to say, but just being in there to meet with Matthias, it's just very beautiful. And, the sound is very nice upstairs. I can't speak for having eaten outside. I do want to mention that he does want to have a drum kit down there and a piano, kind of permanent pieces. There is a lot of exposed brick. There are speakers on the ceiling. So I don't know about the soundproofing. He said, look, there's 3 people, we're in here, we don't hear anything. Well, that was 3 of us. No bartender, no people sitting there, no people playing music. It is very isolated. It's downstairs. It's next door to the Jungle Bird. And then, of course, it's on the street. So I don't know how much sound issues there would be, but there might other concerns that we have. The DJ, it's kind of like a no-go for some of the people we've talked to. Matthias said he would like to try it out. If it didn't work and it was too problematic, he would get rid of it. Now, we all know how these things go. You got something going, you don't want to get rid of it. But he seems like he wants to be a good neighbor. Also, there's a private entrance, and it's really, really cool. It looks like an old vending machine. Other concerns are how to police the traffic that's going down there for these, these jazz clubs or comedy nights. Are these going to be prepaid tickets? How do we know when you've reached capacity? What's the capacity really from the fire department and the building department code for down there? And will he agree to doing a soundproofing or an engineer's report regarding the sound? So those are the concerns we've been hearing and talking amongst ourselves.
They're referring to
Should I
the acoustical report.
Yeah. Should I answer?
I'd like to hear who else has to speak, and then you can say something. Okay, Nellie?
Next, we have Joshua. Joshua, you're on mute.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah.
Good, we can hear you.
Very good. My name is Josh Bueller, and I live very close by the restaurant, 334 West 19th. So that's 19th between 8th and 9th, about halfway down the block. So I walk past the restaurant numerous times a day, just in the order of doing errands or going to the subway or, being present in the neighborhood. And I can definitely report that, of all the places that I frequent, Lulu is my favorite. I have never heard anything in terms of like a commotion or a racket, any sort of noise. I've never observed any speakers on the street. I think the discussion today is as much as anything about, simply enhancing the quality of entertainment in the basement, which I, just as somebody who goes to the place and is, I guess, appreciates what it has to offer, I would certainly welcome. I think that it's definitely elevated the discourse in the neighborhood in terms of like places that you could go to, have a drink after a meal, or, the downstairs is just it's just a lovely spot. And, I don't think that, from what I understand, it's intended to, increase the sound levels. I don't think they're going to put more speakers in or anything like that. It's really just kind of making the entertainment, as opposed to being canned, something that's more customized and sort of more high caliber. So, just as somebody who lives in the neighborhood who's never had, any complaints about the sound, who is exposed to the, outside facade, and, the sort of acoustical aspect of that on a daily basis, and who frequents it, for dining and for drinking, I would appreciate having, something a little bit more refined downstairs than just simply a Spotify playlist. It being understood that, this is coming through the same speakers anyways, and it's really just a question of, is it going to be something that's kind of custom and bespoke to the atmosphere and mood of the environment, or is it going to be, something that's just the, kind of a SoundCloud or Spotify canned playlist. And I would vote for something that's a little bit more custom, because I think it would be, it would just elevate the atmosphere and mood of the establishment.
Thank you. We have one more, Nellie?
No, two more. The next person is Jasenko.
Hi, I'm actually Boz. Yasenko. Hi. And so I really don't even know how to approach this conversation, because there are things that are clearly not factual. I live across the street. I don't spend my time looking out and looking for the faults with the restaurant. I tried. So when this all started, yes, the pandemic was in full swing, and there was a jazz concert, which was first parked in front of the fire hydrant on the street, blocking access to the fire hydrant. They would have drums and brass instruments and singers, and that was what was going on at first. Then I tried to have a MEND meeting with Matthias, and all I would ask is, I actually told him I appreciate having a restaurant like this. I also don't like dark streets with nothing happening, but I only requested that we discuss the number of the concerts. He mentioned only the Sunday concert, but there was actually 3 to 4 concerts every week, and they would be happening outside. Eventually, he did move them inside, but next to an open window, so that was as good as outside. Also, there are speakers outside. There are speakers in the shacks, and also speakers attached to the facade.
Not
because
anymore.
he has 2 types of outdoor seating. It's actually mostly during the summer, it's mostly an outdoor establishment. He has twice the capacity outdoors and indoors. These people who are outdoors, they all want to be entertained as much as the people indoors. What happens? They play the music via the speakers in the shacks, and attached to the facade for the tables that are not in the shacks, but are on the actual sidewalk. So there are sidewalk speakers, and there are speakers in the shacks. So 2 types of speakers. And actually, there are a bunch of them. This is a big, actually, it's a small space inside, but it's actually a big space outside. Also, there was a repeated abuse of the fire hydrant space that he needed, that the establishment, actually, it was the lifeline. That's what saved the establishment. When I raised this to Matthias, that we also might need that fire hydrant, I was, he says that it's not him or, his people parking in the fire hydrant, but I have hundreds of photographs of a car, usually the same car or 1 of 2 cars, parked in that spot. I really do believe that they use it as private parking. So, I mean, I have no proof for that. But the third issue is that there is a lot of double parking on the street. The problem is there is other 2. I see 4 shacks out of my window, and they are on both sides of the street. And then when there is double parking, what actually happened in front of my eyes is that because of the double parking, a truck hit the shack for the Soccerat and demolished it in front of my eyes. Had there been someone indoor, that person would have died. The same week, Lulu was set on fire. I wake up at 4 a.m. and there is a huge fire, which I don't know. I mean, Matthias does work with me. That's true. I actually still complain every week or every 2 weeks about the music, which starts at the iPad or whatever it was called, because I can hear it across the street. He does work with me. He reduces the volume, and I really appreciate that. And I can live with it, kind of thing. But what I cannot go back to is concerts 4 days a week, outdoor or in the window, or even played via the speakers to the outdoor public.
Okay, but what about Buzz? What about the downstairs? There's no speakers.
Matthias, wait your turn. Okay?
Matthias, we'll hear from you at the end.
Yeah,
We want to hear
this is
from
not
all
a
the
dialogue
public
here.
first.
We're hearing people.
Well, I want to be able to speak.
You'll have a chance to speak later.
So I actually would be fine with that if there was an assurance that this wouldn't be played outside via the speakers outside. I don't want to stop this business from succeeding. I really don't. It's in my interest for it to succeed. There is another issue, which there is huge amount of foot traffic on this block. It went from 0 to, there is two establishment across the street on 19th Street, and then that establishment. We have huge problem with foot traffic, on the weekends. Well, actually, starting on Thursday till Sunday. So I don't know how much more in capacity this would, because I don't know how much more even foot traffic this block can sustain. So that would be my issue. And foot traffic also means noise. And another issue is also because of the narrow, we are on a fire truck route. Just down the street or up the street, there is a fire station. They don't have the same amount of space to go through the intersection. There is, there is noise also from the fire trucks, which is much more than it used to be. Plus the foot traffic, plus the music, it's just too much.
Okay, thank you, Gianfranco. Thank you.
Boz, I have one question.
Okay.
Boz, I have one question.
Yes.
Matthias said there's been no live music since the fire. Has that been the case?
Yes, that has been the case.
Okay.
Thank you. Ellie, do you have somebody else in the community?
We have 2 more people. The next person is Franco.
Twee's hand.
Yeah.
Okay, the next person is Franco.
Hello. Hi, I'm Franco Lacosta. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. First of all, I want to say, thank you everyone for being here tonight. What Matthias and Lulu have done for Chelsea is elevate the entire New York City. Just to be honest, throughout the pandemic, they were there open, servicing the community, being open in the community, connecting, most important, with the community, spending time with everyone, wanting to know what we all needed. And not only that, they only did that for this area, but they inspire an entire movement. So when it comes down to Matthias and the music and the food and the people, it only comes from such a sacred space where everyone finds themselves so happy and so fulfilled that they're celebrating life, period. Okay, so everything else becomes mundane. Those little things like, oh, it's a little bit loud here and there. Be able to breathe and to be grateful that they're doing something on the bigger scale with people, bringing together. They really brought something so beautiful to all the community. Everyone comes there, they're welcoming, they're kind, they're just happy, bringing good, happy energy. It just allows everyone to roam free. It's a destination. It's a destination. I live right next to it. I've been part of it. I've gone through the cold winters, the long cold winters during the pandemic, which were horrible, and the wonderful summers. And Matthias and Lulu's, everyone just brought such wonderful, kind, thoughtful, heartfelt energy, authentic love energy. And I think Matthias has the sensibility to be able to curate something that is so whimsical that it really reaches you and it keeps you lingering and it wants a good feeling to come back to you. So honestly, everything they're doing there is so well produced, it's so well art directed, it's so beautifully and tastefully done, it's so elegantly done, that I honestly believe that I'm glad that everyone is here, but you should come around and see how happy people are. It's creating an experience. This is what life needs to be right now. Do not focus on minor things, everyone. Those little things that are mundane. We're here on a bigger scale. We have to be grateful that we're breathing, that we're alive. And of course, Matthias is excellent following protocols and making sure that everything is clean. Not only that, the whole neighborhood looks beautiful. That block looks beautiful. I'd rather look at that than look at anything else in 8th Avenue and 19th Street. Anywhere between 14th and 34th Street, even 42nd Street, Lulu's is the best looking thing in the entire block on 8th Avenue. Okay? So let's just start by saying that. It's very simple. We live in a very visual world. Not only that, the energy they're putting out to the world is beautiful, love, caring, creating community, and just giving a love message to everyone. honestly, everyone is welcome. And I just live so close to it. Not only that they invest puppies, and it's something different. You know, we're really experiencing beyond service. It's about the way we like to feel about ourselves as being part of a community. And that's what Matthias and Lulu's have brought to not only Chelsea, honestly, to New York City right now. Not only that, they stood very strong during the pandemic, and they really created an incredible, solid, lovable, I'm just gonna say fan base, because we just love to walk around. We love to see the flowers. We love to see the input, the creativity. We like to see the, ¿cómo se dice? The
I think we got
production
it,
value.
I think we got it, Franco.
I mean, what can I say? I'm so passionate
That's
about it.
I think we
Is
can't
that
spend the
okay?
whole night saying how wonderful they
Okay,
are.
sorry I took over, but I'm grateful that you're listening. I mean, I'm just a memory.
Thank you so much. And
Big kisses to everyone. I get carry on, you know? That's how passionate I am.
Thank you, Franco.
Thank you, thank you.
one more community person, Nellie?
Yes, Dennis?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dennis Homlitis, the Vice President of the 300 West 18th and 19th Street Block Associations. I love going to Lulu. I totally enjoy it. I take all my friends there, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here representing the block associations. And it seems that in the original petition 3 years ago, this was all discussed and we agreed that there would only be background music. The neighbors were concerned about a DJ downstairs and other live music. And when you look at Boca de Baco on 19th Street, we went through the same situation. Now they open their doors, they play live music, and it's problematic in the neighborhood. So that's one of our concerns. And our other concern is the neighbors do not want a DJ. We don't mind the jazz music, but they do not want a DJ at night, Matthias, sorry.
Tweet, did you have a comment? And then Carrie, I see.
Hi, yes, I just wanted to say thank you to the caller who called in to confirm that there were speakers outside. What I noted that Matthias had interjected really quickly, not anymore. So that was telling in terms of presentation. It seemed as though he made it seem as though they never had speakers in the outdoor dining. And so I had to go and verify with anything that I had in play. So I just wanted to raise that as an issue.
You're saying, Tweet, that you confirm that there are speakers now outside?
I don't know if they are outside now because he just interjected not anymore. If he had said something like, we had speakers, but they were since removed since the fire. But his first response was, no, there were never any speakers. That was an issue. That's an issue for me.
Thank you. Carrie?
So it sounds like there's a big, a big contingency of people who would really like to see you succeed. Even some of your detractors want to see you succeed. And then it also though sounds like we have issues with some of the things that you stipulated to originally, like having music outside, which is, it is a big deal. And being able to hear the sound from inside outside. So I'm wondering if we could start to talk about some things that you might do to make sure that this happens, like do a sound report for your downstairs space, agree to no DJ. I mean, the fire hydrant thing is a bit baffling to me because, you had a fire. So I would think that you would really want the fire hydrant accessible to everybody in your area. And then obviously the speakers outside, the open windows, music coming through the open windows, etc.
Yeah. Can I go on now?
Yes, I see one more person from the committee, and then you can have a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Inga.
Thank you. I promise this is my last one. I have to say I have a problem with the no speakers outside when there were speakers outside, open doors and windows. in the prior stipulation, it was not only checkmarked that there would be no music, there was a discussion about it, and it was handwritten at the bottom of the stipulations, no music, no live music. You had live music, and then you have music with windows and doors open. You know that that's not allowed. That's all I have to say. I can't vote in favor of this right now.
Okay. Kerry, by the way, I wanted to thank you for beginning to give a focus to any possible resolution. Thank you. Okay,
Thank
Matthias,
you.
give yourself a couple of minutes, but not many.
Okay, is it me?
That's you, Matthias.
Okay, all right. Well, so I want to apologize for bending the rules when I had to. You know, like I said before, it was survival mode, and the second I did not need it anymore, I took it off. And it's, you know, and apart from Mr. Boz Jasenko, I think his name is his real name, who's on the call right now. And you know, like I said, and he said it himself, like I've been, you know, trying to do my best, and every single time there was an issue to address it right away, and it didn't leave anything being an issue more than it should be. And you know, like he said, he doesn't want music outside and or inside the restaurant. I'm fine with that. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking just for the music for downstairs, and I'm okay with having a sound engineer doing a test of the downstairs decibel wise while the band is playing. If before you even start, or you know, after you allow it, to see what the decibels is like, and if you can hear anything outside. It is, like I said, between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. only. 10:30 maybe, and then after that there's no more live music. I will follow recommendations for no DJs if it makes everybody happy, because I want to work with you. So we'll just play iPad music until the end of my liquor license, which is 2 o'clock in the morning. I will also make sure that nobody leaves that place, because I've not used the extent of my liquor license until now. I've been closing at midnight. I've only had events until 2 o'clock in the morning. Once in a while, people rented the room for like a private rentals for the room for private events. But you know, I'm trying to create something that's more of a place for artistic things to happen, instead of just having a bar and getting people drunk and playing loud iPad music. I think you can find this everywhere else. I'm trying to create something that's a little bit more substantial. We create classes, teach people how to make drinks, teach them about wine, different regions of the world, you know, things that are interesting, and we create value. And I'm not trying to destroy the quality of life, but to increase it and to create something that's going to uplift people and bring them back together. That room is very small. It's only, those classes are only for 20 people. The place downstairs is only about 40 people max. There's only 5 tables. It's tiny. So even with the bar is very small too. I mean, I welcome anyone to come down and take a look at it. It's all complete with felt and everything, you know, on the walls. It's very warm, and it's very soundproofed already the way it is. The exits will be only towards 8th Avenue. So there will be nobody exiting on 19th Street next to bars or my other neighbors. So I was saying before, I was not trying to talk bad about my neighbors or the other licenses next to me, but I will be a much earlier place than the place next door. So I don't see 40 people leaving, not even all at once, being an issue on 8th Avenue. If you don't like for me to do DJ, I'm okay with that. If you allow me to try it and to see if there's any issues, I can stop at any time, and I can sign a paper for this if you want. And you know, I understand Inga's worries about me agreeing to certain things. I mean, it's easy to say this, but it's also hard to put yourself in my shoes. I went through hell and back, and you know, I'm very lucky to still be open and still be alive. But you know, there's a lot of money that was put into this business because I like to do things well, and you know, not just the pandemic, but the fire after. I mean, that was $500,000 that I put out of the pocket to rebuild this place. So no, I understand, you appreciate it. So I'm saying, without those circumstances, I'm a man of my word, and that's why I want to say that, you know, I didn't mean to break the rules, and I was always very careful about what happened after. And the second I did not need this anymore, we took it out, and you know, I'm not doing music anymore for that reason. And
okay, so we're trying now to move towards a resolution.
All right, Bert, there are a couple things I need to get clarified.
Yes.
Martin or Matthias, I thought I read somewhere that some of the basement events were going to be ticketed. Is that the case?
It's ticketed not to come in. So ticketed would be for the stand-up comedy, because I have to pay the comedians. It's not going to me, it's going to the comedians. And the jazz events, I have to pay the bands, right? So instead of doing a minimum spend, you have to spend $100 or $50, whatever per person. The person who's helping me with if we get approved, obviously, with doing this thing is recommending to do a small charge, because he's done this other places. That's the best way it works.
Here's what I'm getting at.
There is an issue.
Guys, here's what I'm getting at. Are there going to be show times, or is this just, if you want to sit down there, there's a cover charge?
Yeah.
And you can come in anytime.
Showtime. So we're looking to do.
Okay, so show times present their own issues, which not just at your place, at any place.
Okay.
Because you have the issue of people all arriving at the same time, waiting on the sidewalk, all leaving at the same time. So that's a sort of a separate concern, and it's one we've learned can be problematic, all across the board, not just for you.
Okay, so it's 30 people. It's not 100 people.
What we're concerned about, Matthias, lines on the street waiting to get in. If
Okay.
there's a line, because you have to show your ticket, you enter. So next person has to show their ticket to enter. Are those people waiting to get in the building or on the street? You don't want people on the street.
Okay, what do you recommend, if you have a recommendation on how to do it best, because you've done this before? I'm willing to make it work the best for the community. So you tell me if you want me to do it differently, I can do it differently.
No, and in fact, this was a concern back in 2019, because you stipulated that there wouldn't be any queuing on the sidewalk and that there wouldn't be any velvet ropes on the sidewalk.
Right.
So all of this came up 3 years ago. But I just don't understand how it's going to work. Is it going to be one show a night or two?
Two, that's it. It's over.
Okay, so you have the first show going on, the people arrive for the second show. Where are they going to wait?
No, like they come in right away. The first show will end. It's a half hour, in the middle between the two shows where nothing is happening. So they can leave and then the other people come after, right?
Well, yeah, but if the place is still full from the first show as people are paying their checks and hanging around, and you've got 40 people waiting for the next show on the sidewalk, that's not a good situation.
Okay.
But just a minute, he just said that there'll be a 30-minute gap between shows. So the people in the first show can come out and then they'll be empty, and then the people.
Well, that's not, I don't know if you've been in a club. That's not the way it works. The show ends, people pay their checks, they hang around, people arrive early for the second show. You cannot clear out a room.
Oh, the other option was to just add the ticket show the as a add-on to the check. Then this way there's no waiting at all, right?
No, there is no difference. If there is a set, and then the musicians, I happen to be in the jazz business, so there is a set. At the end of the first set, they go away. So you have a queue waiting to get in, because somebody has to empty the room, clean up the tables, and then open for the second set.
Okay, so the times are 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., right? So it's
It's
not.
just if you have people queuing on the sidewalk, where are they going to be queuing?
I have the whole front of my restaurant, which is not being used. If you see the door to the speakeasy, the entrance to the lounge is on 8th Avenue. Directly on the right side, I have an awning there, which is the front of my bar, before the front door, and that can hold like 20 people easy in there. So if they want to wait under the awning to my restaurant, not on the sidewalk blocking the street, that happens. I don't think it would be an issue.
It needs to be described and organized. It doesn't look like that.
Right.
We have had that conversation.
We can have it. I can show you a picture here so you can see.
This is a consideration that we have, not just for you, for all applicants. And it sounds like you really haven't thought it through.
Right, and if you can see it, the red door is the entrance, and then the whole side is the front of the restaurant, which is not occupied by any tables or anything like this. There's nothing there.
I don't understand.
problem
The
is they're
side of
gonna-
your restaurant which is not being used. What are you saying? I'm confused.
Meaning there's no tables or chairs or patrons sitting on 8th Avenue under the awning of the restaurant. It's a
Okay,
clear
so there
space.
is an awning and you can have a line on 8th Avenue,
Right.
but then where's the door to get downstairs?
Right next to it.
On 8th Avenue?
Yes, yes, on 8th Avenue.
Well, I can't see anything.
Yes.
so.
The door and the
So
restaurant.
the queuing essentially would be done on 8th Avenue.
Right, that's correct. And it will be done.
And the exit of the room will be on 8th Avenue?
Correct, yes. There's no direct neighbors there. My building is a one-story building. The building next door, Jungle Bird, is a two-story building with no occupants. And then next door to Jungle Bird, there's residential.
I personally would like, following to Frank, I personally would like to know whether the speakers are installed outside or not.
Yeah, no speaker outside, yes.
I would have, if we do anything in a resolution, I would want to be that stipulated.
Right, it needs to be
Wanna have that
absolutely, because this was illegal end to end. Having speakers outside is absolutely not in the guidelines of the open restaurant or our guidelines, any of them. So this was really kind of a total violation, and it's very disruptive to the neighbors. So I can understand this person across the street. And then the second thing is that he says he's still hearing your iPod across the street. So how come you are opening the windows? What's
I mean, we serve the door to the kitchen. The people have to bring the food out, right? So there's music inside the restaurant. Maybe sometimes it's a little too loud inside, but I'm not always.
Well, you can't have music on the restaurant if you are opening the doors.
No,
because for people who are living across the street, it's like if it was open and the restaurant the noise was there all the time. So if you are living, I mean, you are in there, but for people living across the street, it's unbearable. It's very painful.
I mean,
and you shouldn't have to call. You shouldn't have to call every time you want the music turned down. I don't want to call you every week if I live there.
So if you are opening the door with the kitchen, that means that inside you cannot have music, period. And you need to stipulate to that.
You have to bring the food outside, right? And the drinks outside.
Yeah.
That's why the door's open. It's not staying open.
No, but every time it opens, it's just like if you are inside the restaurant.
No,
So
I mean,
you
it's
need
really
to
not. It's really not that loud. I mean, I would have a lot more than one person complaining if it was that loud. And
No,
I don't
that's
think
not
you're
the
gonna
issue. The issue is that you cannot have amplified music if you are opening, if you have an open door. It's what it says in the STIPs, and we have had those issues with much bigger places than you. Who every time somebody was bringing the food, they opened the door, and the whole building across the street was furious.
Yeah, I don't have the whole building furious, but I have one person that I'm being in
That's
contact
not,
with.
don't dismiss. So if you are dismissing your neighbors, then we can't go forward on that.
No, I'm not dismissing it.
Well, you are. You say I've only one guy. Well, that one guy is driven nuts.
No, but
So don't dismiss him.
I'm not dismissing him. I said that.
You are.
No, I mean, if I was dismissing, I would not respond to every time he has an issue. When the hydrant, I mean, when we
don't want to respond. He's not. That's his job. His life is not to be calling you every day.
No, I
That's
understand.
not his life.
I understand.
It's
that.
not his job.
Sorry, let me interrupt for a second, Christine.
I'm sorry.
The issue is not who responded, who didn't respond, who called. The issue is, it's very clear. If there's amplified music, you don't want to hear it on the street. Doesn't matter if it's only the door opening, but the door is always open. So there's amplified music on the street, and that we don't want to hear.
Okay.
Simple. It's very simple, very clear. I think a number of times you said, and I get my antenna up to this, is you said, well, I bent the rules a little bit. Yeah, I'm sorry. But if there's a track record like that, I wonder, what's the future going to do? Are you going to come 2 years from now and say, oh, I've really bent the rules a little bit, I'm sorry, even though we had a stipulation? So I have a question. That's the general question in my head, and it has not been resolved. I don't know about other people on the committee, but for me, it hasn't been resolved. I also am aware of the time and the agenda, and I'd like us, if we can, Frank, have some ideas about stipulations, if there might be a resolution?
Yeah, but the problem is I have about 10 already, and that's not even trying to deal with the ticketed situation, which I agree with, I think what you observed. I just don't think the applicants thought through
Exactly.
the mechanics of how that's going to work.
Right.
But we know from all the comedy clubs and everything that that lines of people are going to be on the street and they're going to bother people.
Okay, then we can do free. I'll just hit the costs.
No, I think you're missing the point. If you have one set and the second set, there will be a line.
And
I
you
mean, we have a reservation.
Don't seem to have thought it through. How to
No, but
handle
I'm
that.
saying we do have reservations for tables of like sometimes 20 people.
No, we're not talking about reservations.
No, I understand. I'm talking about
We're
dinner,
talking
right?
about a comedy club, even though, it's
I
only 2
understand.
nights.
If I may,
Whatever it is.
if I may
And
explain.
it seems like you've come to us with an application. You want to have jazz, which you say you want to be ticketed. You want to have comedy, 7 nights a week. But you haven't thought through the logistics. As we talk it here, you hold it up and say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. But you haven't thought it through before you came to us. That's my impression.
Wait. Matthias, can I make a suggestion? Why don't we put this over? Why don't we come with a very detailed plan next month and see if we can satisfy your concerns? Is that fair enough?
Helpful. I think that would be very helpful.
I have a suggestion.
And
I
I
have a
can come back
suggestion
to that.
along that, which is we need to have a demonstration that the current problems are fixed and they are really fixed. And
Can I answer that? Because I haven't said anything in terms of everything I've heard is that last August or up until last August, yes, he had some indiscretions, and yes, you're right, he should never have had them in the first place, but he did. But from August on, you haven't heard anything in terms of any violations, and I would think that is a tribute to this man's integrity and what he's attempting to do. So
we have heard. I don't mean to interrupt, but we have heard from this gentleman saying he still hears the music coming through across the street.
And I heard from 4 other people that they don't hear anything. So
The
maybe,
other 4 people,
but excuse me, one second. It maybe, and I'm not trying to disparage anyone here, but maybe some people are hypersensitive to what is going on and are looking for problems. You had 4 or 5 people on the block come in and say gratuitously that they love this place. There's no problem with this place. So maybe there's something a little off with the person who's saying that there is, and I'm not suggesting
I think
that's the problem.
Excuse me, I don't think it's fair to disparage anyone from the community.
I'm not disparaging anyone.
Hold on, one way or the other. I like your idea of thinking it through, taking account of what people have been saying, and coming back, postponing and coming back.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
I do appreciate that there were people here who, I don't know what the expression is, are in love with the place and are praising it as the best thing since white bread, or sliced bread, whatever they used to say. I appreciate that. I also hear other concerns about operations, promises made, promises not kept. So I think it'd be good for you to postpone it. We have one more committee person who hasn't spoken yet, Mike Noble.
Yeah, thanks, Bert. There's a lot going on here. And for us to give total consideration to this applicant, I think we should not only welcome him back in a month, but we should do a walkthrough, right? Virtual walkthrough at some point before our next committee meeting. And we do this a lot. I think it's a good candidate here, Frank. What do you think?
I'm on behalf of my client, I would suggest that I say that's a great idea. Walk through and see for yourself what's going on in the place.
Yeah, I mean, get a true feel for what the space is all about. I mean,
I would like to do it, but not an official walkthrough. Just go.
Yeah, I'm probably
Come try the food. Come see what it's about.
Martin, I would suggest in the next month too that you talk with the 2 people from the block associations who spoke about the whole ticketing and queuing situation and see what they're comfortable with or not, and maybe you can, work out some parameters because they seemed basically supportive but are concerned about what's happening on the sidewalks.
No, I have no problem with that either. He said this once, he said it once, he said it 20 times. He's here to work with the community. He's not here to in any way antagonize the community. So sure, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, well, Nellie will send you a form to fill out that you're agreeing to postpone and won't go forward with the SLA.
I know what the form looks like. I welcome it. We're not going anywhere.
Thank you for all your time.
you all.
See you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to our third category, wine, beer, cider applications. These are new. We have item number 4 on our agenda, 410 West 43rd Street, the table at Red Eye.
Good evening. Good evening. This is John Springer. I'm the representative. On the call is Peter Ceferi, one of the applicants, along with Otis Thanks, his partner and manager. There are 2 other owners, Patricia Gentile and Jerry Delwahar. I can't pronounce it. This is a transfer application for a restaurant, wine and beer. I think the previous tenant was Adela at 410 West 43rd Street. It's the table at Red Eye Inc. doing business as the Purple Tongue. It's between 9th and 10th Avenue. It's a small restaurant that'll serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. There'll be acoustic live music, which means non-amplified, which might be a singer and a guitar player, something like that. That'll end by 12. You have our menu. There's 14 tables inside and 12 outside on a patio on private property. And we heard a bit about some opposition, but I never really heard what the opposition was about. We held this over from last month at our request to do additional outreach, which we did the next day. I didn't hear from anybody. The applicant has met with some of the people in the policy committee in the building, Manhattan Plaza. I understand that some of the opposition may have concerned a misconception that there was going to be a new sound system. Basically, they were just replacing the recorded background music speakers to more properly adjust the volume. In any event, we'll look forward to hearing from you and the applicants prepared to answer any questions you have.
Okay. John, I assume there will be community members who spoke, but just to summarize for people, we got 28 emails or letters in opposition, all from people on that block, basically people in Manhattan Plaza or in the other buildings on 43rd Street. And their basic concerns are the 3 a.m. close. They think it should close at midnight nightly, as the prior operator did. No live music of any kind, no music or sound outside, and no sidewalk or street seating. But I'll summarize them further if people do not make their points directly when we hear from community members.
Any committee members have a comment, question? I see Carrie.
I'm just having a little trouble with the drawing. Can you just describe where the outside, is it in the back? Is it in a courtyard?
No, it's a patio in front.
Okay,
it's
thank
a patio
you.
in front of the space.
Thanks.
To cover arcade.
Yeah, there's an arcade that runs down that part of the Manhattan Plaza building, and the storefronts are all sort of set back under,
Right.
like the roof of the arcade.
Within the
Understood.
property line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tina? You're muted, Tina.
Sorry. I'm not familiar with the space, so I know there's objection to outdoor seating. I'm just curious if there was outdoor seating in the exact same spot as you intend to put the outdoor seating, or have it remain there.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, the only thing that has been there before, Tina, is outdoor seating on the private property. In other words, sort of in this arcade area. There's never been a sidewalk cafe or roadway seating. Now, I don't know if the applicant actually is looking for, actually, we should ask the applicant, are you looking for outdoor seating in the roadway or beyond what's on the private property?
No, I'm not looking for it, but
Okay.
I will not, I would like to keep the options open based on what happens with COVID in the future.
Okay, all right,
Do I
so
want-
Tina, that's the area of difference. It's roadway or sidewalk cafe seating, which has not been in this location before.
Okay.
Okay, but that's not part of the application. That if that were allowed, it would be under the NYC DOT thing.
Well,
it's not
true,
part of
but if the neighbor, that is a very quiet residential block, and if the residents believe that kind of outdoor use would be disruptive, then we could condition our recommendation on your client agreeing not to use it, even if it actually is permitted under open restaurants.
Not to
Even
use
if there's a
the-
pandemic,
I'm not saying that's
Even
where
if
we're
there's a
headed.
pandemic?
Let's hear from the community, but
We still have some more. Mike Noble from the committee.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, a question for the applicant, Peter. Peter and I know each other, by the way.
Yes.
Right?
Who's there
And
actually? Go.
I'm not, ruling myself out here. What I'm saying is that we know each other. And I remember you coming before us a while back over at the Intercontinental, I think, that night. And you had another bar, I think, planned. Is this the
Yeah.
same thing?
No,
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
location.
The location's different. Before it was at West 33rd Street and 9th Avenue. And
Okay.
by lease, they wound up giving it to an H&R Block.
Yeah, because I'm wondering where you were. So this answers the question. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Any other committee members? I don't see a raised hand. Okay, from the community now?
Yes, we have four raised hands. The first one is Marissa Redan.
Hey, Marissa, 6 hands I see right now. 5, 6.
Hi, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Marissa.
Okay, a couple of things. I just want to address what I first heard the applicant about an outdoor structure, which was very concerning because the garbage for Manhattan Plaza, the dumpsters are usually located exactly where his outdoor structure would be. Secondly, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Continue,
Secondly, there is a bike lane where his structure might be. I think that was, when I met with them, which I did, that was off the table. It was a miscommunication, but actually now we see it, maybe it's not. So an outdoor structure would not only probably not be allowed by the building because that's where they put their dumpsters for garbage, but also there's a bike lane there and we're also a fire truck lane. And we have a lot of trucks going to UPS. So it would be really problematic, especially during the winter. Now, unfortunately, I think that there might have been some miscommunication with these applicants and their attorney because there's several things that conflict. The building has a lease instruction that you will not be open between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. Anybody forever. And so I asked them, well, how can you ask for being open till 3? And the response was, well, we're going to go to the landlord and ask them to extend the hours. So my concern is, but you don't have that yet. So why would you put that on the application? So these are basically questions for the applicant to clarify. There were several contradictions about this. Secondly, I asked about what is acoustic music, and that's a question for Bert and for Frank. I'm assuming that means without any amplification. When I brought that up, the applicant said that they expect to have a microphone. I said, well, that isn't acoustic then, and a keyboard. So I think there's confusion there. Secondly, as far as the attorney saying they didn't hear from the residents that live literally above the restaurant, almost like a bedroom in your house, they were never contacted, or for some reason the attorney thought that they should reach out to the applicant. I've been at this business quite a bit, as Bert has and all the other good workers on the community board for, and it's your business and your assignment from day one to find the people next door to you and to reach out to them and have a conversation. I don't believe that happened, but I can't speak to it because I just have not heard. I know that I, as a district leader, have never gotten so many phone calls about this, and that's why I even got involved. So that's confusing. The third thing is cocktails. Okay, you're going for a beer, wine, and cider license transfer. I don't know any cocktail made from cider. If someone does know, I would really be interested, but a cocktail is liquor. So when I asked about that, the applicant replied that they intend to come back to ask for a full liquor license. Again, great, but you don't have it yet. So in your advertising, it says cocktails. That's disturbing because it's like, well, you don't have it yet. So how can you advertise? You can't assume you're going to get it. I think the last thing is about the kitchen. Before Adela, there was a restaurant that was there since the 80s, and the kitchen was out of code, so they had to basically cut it off. I think they walled it up. I don't know. Maybe Otis can speak to that. And I said, on your menu, it says grilled salmon. How can you grill something without a stove? And the response was, well, we intend to go to the landlord and open up that part of the kitchen. However, when I talked to the landlord, they said, well, are they going to pay rent on that space? Because it's not in their lease. So I really want this restaurant to succeed. And I think there needs to be a reset. And I think they need to start off with decent hours and no live music, and come into our community and be part of Manhattan Plaza, part of West 43rd Street, and let us all hug and, do kumbaya. But right now, it seems like there's all these missing parts of their application. I think I'm finished, and I really do want them to succeed because we don't want an empty space there. Oh, one more thing I found on the application was a canopy. Yes, we're going to have a canopy over the sidewalk. Their outdoor seating is not on the sidewalk. So that's another confusing thing. Are you going to keep the seating that is within the property and that's your outdoor seating? Or are you planning down the road to do yet something else that you're not approved of yet? Because I'll tell you, having a structure on this narrow street would really be problematic. And I don't want to take up more time. I really, again, want them to succeed. I just think they need to reset. I think they need to reset the whole thing.
Thank you, Marissa.
Next, we have Natalie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm a member of the 43rd Street Block Association, and we work closely with Manhattan Plaza. In this case, the Block Association is representing the smaller buildings and townhomes on the north side of the street. And we're concerned about this, what's essentially amounting to a bar, if it's being used the way they describe it. They have described themselves as a quiet dining establishment, but I'm just concerned that something open 7 days a week until 3 a.m. with music and outdoor seating where nothing like that has ever existed before is just not in line with what our neighborhood already is. And if you're choosing a neighborhood because you like it and respect it, but then you're doing something that's going to vastly change it, I don't think you're really kind of cooperating with the neighborhood. I totally support local business, but this is a new business. So unlike some of the other applicants we've heard today that are trying to survive the pandemic, they're starting something new and moving into an area that's mostly winding down by 10 p.m. I live there and I want to be able to enjoy the liveliness of New York, but I also want to go home and go to sleep and have some peace and quiet. And I don't want to have a Boz and Matthias relationship where I feel like I have to call a bar that's open till 3 a.m., has live music, even open till midnight with music and outdoor seating. It's just against what's happening on our street and what we're trying to hold on to. So I think that's about it. I think Marisa really spoke on a lot of the points that we all feel strongly about as well.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ron.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I live in the townhouses that are directly above where the proposed business will be. We had the same issues. First of all, our district leader, Marisa, has, as usual, summed everything up beautifully. But we have some basic issues that we also dealt with when we dealt with Mr. Komeni, who was the owner of Adela, which was the first time we had a restaurant in that space directly beneath us that was going to be open in the evening at all. And we were very apprehensive about that. Mr. Komeni turned out to be a wonderful neighbor and addressed all of our concerns and constantly reached out to us. These folks, none of us have heard anything from them. And that has angered us. So we're already angry that they haven't even asked us what we thought. The two issues for me, and I know for many of the people who live in the 24 apartments that are directly above this, as well as for the people across the street, the Durst, formerly the Durst townhouses, and the large apartment buildings across the street, are disturbances at night. And we have a very quiet street. You wouldn't think it would be quiet, but it is. And Mr. Komeni had 5 tables, 5 two-top tables in front of his business. The proposal that the new owners have made is to have 24, have a capacity of 10 people, is to have 24 capacity, which extends it all the way down to the newsstand store. That puts it under, that would put people under all of the apartments but 2 in the townhouses, if you know this street at all. They are, and these people are under our apartments, so we could hear them even better. Acoustic sound is another issue. Mr. Komeni, Adela, he had sound engineers come in. He came up to us. He asked us what we thought. Could you hear? He reached out in every possible way, and we loved him. We have heard nothing from these folks, and in their application, they say they are not even having that they are not doing any professional soundproofing, which really alarms us. As far as live music goes, it can't be. And if they're going to use a microphone, which I just heard, oh my, we're alarmed. And the 3 a.m. closing, just people coming out of the place at 3 a.m. onto our street, under our apartments, every night, 7 days a week, is unacceptable. This is not the place for it. Thank you very much. And I appreciate all your service, you guys. Thank you.
Next, we have Diana. Diana, you can unmute yourself and speak now.
I've got it. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I just found the unmute myself. I'm Diana Lawrence, and I totally concur with the 3 previous speakers. And I was here at the time that Mr. Komeni made an application to your committee, which was, you sent him back to the drawing board because of your issues with the application and our issues with the application. And he came back with one and became an exemplary neighbor. I won't belabor that. I think we've made that point clear. And we do want local businesses, and we do want places to survive. However, I am the ceiling. Your ceiling is my floor, literally. So it is like just another room in a house. Whatever soundproofing was done with Adela worked beautifully, but he only had recorded music and very low, at a very low level. I never heard a peep. Now, and the work that's being done down there now, I do hear some of it. It's not horrible. I mean, it was horrible when they were doing structural stuff with drills, but I can hear it. I don't know what your soundproofing is. So the sound, the hours, the 3 a.m. closing 7 nights a week is horrific and doesn't seem appropriate for this space in our neighborhood and our street. 2 a.m. is too late. So I think that has to be addressed. Adela closed, I believe, every night at midnight, and he was very, very careful about holding down the noise. If we have 24 people there, it's a lot more noise. If they're eating, which meals, that's a lot of cutlery, a lot of glassware, a lot of ambient noise, which I think that is an issue, and it certainly is an issue or will be an issue for those of us who live directly above this space. So it's the hours, the sound, and whether it's acoustic music, what does that mean? And I think the capacity is large. I don't know what the C of O says or will say, but having 98 people at full capacity dining underneath my apartment is pretty shocking. And those are the 3 points to me: the hours, the sound, soundproofing. And I agree with Ron when he suggested that the answers on page 4 of the application are all about soundproofing and a certificate. It starts with, will applicant comply with the NYC noise code, sort of a third of the way down from the top of page 4. And then if you read the next 6 questions or 7 questions, it's all about soundproofing, doors and windows being open, obtained an acoustical report from a certified sound engineer. No. Applicant follow the recommendations of a certified sound engineer. No. Will the kitchen exhaust system ascend to the roof? That doesn't matter. So it's really those 3 questions about soundproofing and certificate acoustic, a certificate from an acoustic a sound engineer. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. So those are the issues for me. And I beg the committee, I think going back for another round of another application, a revised application would be appropriate. And we welcome a good new neighbor, and sounds like an interesting place. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kathleen.
Hi, this is Kathleen Treat. I'm a resident for 3 decades at Manhattan Plaza. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Kathleen.
First, I want to thank our district leader, Marisa, who spoke so beautifully. I also would welcome a nice, quiet place to have a glass of wine in the evening. We don't have anything quiet in our neighborhood, as a matter of fact, a nice, quiet place. But much too much needs clarifying here. But basically, it's the same. It's the same. We're afraid of the noise and absurd hours. The hours are completely absurd. Midnight closing latest. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Next, we have Alita.
Hi, friends. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties too.
I'm Alita Lafargue. I am the tenant president at Manhattan Plaza, and I am here on behalf of our tenants who came to our meeting, made a motion to have me come and speak on their behalf against this applicant's present application. It does seem that it does conflict with the landlord's lease, which is confusing. The extended hours would definitely disturb the directly above neighbors. As everybody's already mentioned, Bobby Karami, who owned Adela, was a stellar neighbor. I know that this committee gave him a little bit of a job to clean up his act before he was able to be installed. And in the long run, he really did work well with the community. He showed up at many of our events, donated food and drinks, and was basically a neighbor, a member of the community. And so we do hope that the next proprietor is like that. Previous to Bobby, we had Good and Plenty there for years who only operated during the day. One of the concerns that came up for me as someone whose family's been in the restaurant business for as long as I've been alive, was the fact that they're suggesting they'll be there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm wondering, and I'd love to know, if this proprietor has in fact owned an establishment like that in the past where they've served breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's a huge deal. So I'm wondering if that's something new or something they have experience with. I know people in the building, we have mostly musicians and artists, and we appreciate music, but if it's not properly insulated, it can be very disruptive to the people upstairs, especially if they're planning to stay up until 2 a.m, which we've never had to deal with in the past. These extended outdoor seating, I'm really not sure how that's going to work or where it will fit. So that's a little confusing to us. Also, I know Marisa mentioned earlier that they are advertising cocktails. There's actually a big sign in their window advertising cocktails. So that's another curiosity to us, how they are only applying for a beer, liquor, and cider license. So a lot of this just sort of confusing, conflicting stuff on their application raises a lot of red flags for people. And I'm sure that's why they've come to us to ask to support their disapproval of this application. So that's all we have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Alita.
Next, we have Douglas.
Hi, thank you very much for being here tonight. I was with you folks when Bobby Karami was putting this together. He did extensive soundproofing on the restaurant, and he, as everyone has said, Marissa has said, and Alita has said, and Diana has said, he was a wonderful tenant and a terrific neighbor. Now, the problems are, Ron had mentioned about 4 or 5 tables in the patio area outside the front of the restaurant. There were actually 4 or 5 two-seaters along the street side inside the arcade, and there were 4 or 5 four-seaters by the wall to the actual restaurant. So that would be 22, 24 people that outside area could seat, and did for a long time. Bobby was very good about, and the management were very good about keeping the noise down in the evening. I'd walked past there at many different times of the afternoon and evening and never heard a commotion. Lita just mentioned about the advertising. Today on yesterday on West 42nd Street, the website, they were advertising all the things today that are not approved, about cocktails, hours, and things like that. And I think this is kind of jumping the gun. Also, I've been inside that restaurant, as has Alita and Marissa and almost everybody else here. They're saying 70 people inside the restaurant. If you have 24 people outside and 70 people inside, I cannot see more than 40 people inside that restaurant, and you're not being cheek to jowl. So I really question their numbers and size. Marissa brought up the point that there was a walled up stove
area, kitchen area, before Adela took over the space. They never used a stove. They used a microwave or convection oven. And that's all they had. Diana mentioned about no venting necessary. Well, if they do get permission from Manhattan Plaza related to open that kitchen area and use it, there will be a venting issue. And that will definitely affect Diana and the tenants, Ron, and those people who live above. I question the number of people that they think they can get inside that restaurant. Outside 24, I can see that perfectly. There's no space for an awning. The inside is an arcade, as I think Bert or Frank mentioned, that is already covered. And the hours are just untenable. I mean, next door, Eska wasn't open past midnight, and I think Dia was only open to midnight and got an extension to 1 a.m. They don't have any outside front areas for seating. So I think these people need to really rethink this. I think they definitely need to speak to Alita and the Manhattan Plaza Tenants Association. This is 3,000 people virtually living above you. You want them as friends, not as adversaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Next, we have Jacqueline.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for hearing us. And I agree with a lot of what's been said already. And I just want to, add my voice to that. It's been already because the construction has started, that has been audible on a very large scale for my apartment. I'm also in the townhouses. And it is concerning. The sound levels are concerning, especially if we're talking about this extension of having a kitchen. I think the other thing about the kitchen, that's been mentioned is the smell, the fumes, that kind of thing. It's super concerning when you think of having this quantity of people, the number of, meals prepared, the fumes that would be diffused and where they would be diffused. So there's major issues about the smell, the sound, the traffic, just having so many people in this residential, block. This neighborhood it's lovely. It has some really great, very quaint spots, like, Little Pie Company, and, there's like farmers markets, and there's like things that are reasonable for the space that exists, right? So I think that, I definitely am in agreement with other people who said that they should really, maybe just completely scratch and do a new application. I don't know what that process is like, but additionally, the issue of having it open till 3, it's just, somebody used the word nightmare, and I think that's kind of the best description, because there have been people on the sidewalk who get very loud, and that is audible for us in Manhattan Plaza. So if you have inebriated, customers, or, just people who are coming to party, it's not like a party street. It's just not that type of energy here. And it's not really like a good match. Even when we're talking about the shed on the street, to be frank, I'm not even that concerned about it, because I don't know that anybody's going to want to sit beside, kind of like that dumpster area on the outside, and also it's going to block the bike lane. So I don't see it even getting approved. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that the population that's being considered for this this space is just huge. It's too many people. It's a lot of people, and it's a lot of outdoor noise, both from the consideration of this quote unquote acoustic music, which obviously has been already addressed. It needs to be clarified what that means. But yeah, it just is not. It's not a good. The way it's set up now is not a healthy choice for this, lovely, quaint residential block that's also a New York block, which is very busy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Faye.
Oh,
Faye, you
got
can
it.
unmute yourself.
Got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Faye Argentine. I serve on the executive committee of the Tenants Association with Alita. And I just want to say that I fully support what she has said and appreciate Marissa articulating our concerns as well, and as completely as she did at the beginning. I won't belabor any of the points. I support them all wholeheartedly. My big concern is the capacity. One of my big concerns is the capacity, and I was very disappointed in the floor plan that was attached to the original application. It didn't look like it was professionally done. And if they go back and sort of reset and reorganize what they're going to do, I think they should submit a better floor plan professionally done to scale. So we can see exactly how they propose to fit in all these people that they're asking for. That's pretty much it. Thank you, everybody, for stepping up tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Faye.
Excuse me 1 second, Bert, Frank, whoever else may just squash I don't understand the indoor seating capacity. We have it listed at 44 people, indoor seating, not 74 or 75.
So you're
It's
saying
a-
that's a typo, because we have 74.
You have the maximum number of people inside, it's including employees at 74.
It would be hard to have 74 people in that space standing up at one time in that space. It's not big
Can I,
enough.
can I
So
address that?
well, you have 50 seats at tables plus another. So that's 55.
The
That-
74. Yeah, can I just address that? The 74 match, there's not going to be 74 people there. There would be no more than 50 people plus the waiting bar at the most. The 74 came from the certificate of occupancy, and it just matched that. Obviously, no one's going to be standing wall to wall. This is not going to be a bar. If the tables, when the attorney who did that diagram, and she has extensive liquor authority experience, they want to see the tables, the chairs, the bar, the exits, and that's sufficient for the liquor authority's purpose. They don't want a architectural drawing or any of that stuff. But the number of tables is 14. If the number of seats has been scaled down to 43, that's what you're told, that's what it's going to be. We're not going to have more people than seats. And people aren't going to be standing around because it's not a bar. It's wine and beer. I can't explain the advertising. Down the road, we're going for wine and beer mainly because they had wine and beer now and we get a temporary permit. Where we couldn't get that, we'd have to wait 6 months to get full liquor. So it's at least that far out, and we'd have to come back for that. So everybody focus on the 74, but no.
That.
Okay.
Let's talk about the full liquor because let's talk about the issue of full liquor because your signs do talk about cocktails. And
I'm sorry. Let me apologize. I did the banners that are outside, and I just did it thinking when we go for our full liquor license. That's an error. We're obviously not going to be serving alcohol, spirits in any way until we hopefully get our liquor license.
Okay, but do you have intentions to seek a full liquor license?
They do.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that is very troubling that you're here with a beer and wine license, fully intending to get, your foot in the door here, and then, I appreciate you being upfront about it, but I think a full liquor license in that space is a non-starter.
Okay, you're missing something. We're not here for full liquor. We're here to ask for wine and beer.
No, but if you're
takes 6
telling us
months
you're going
along-
to come back in 6
But you're
months.
advertising
full liquor,
cocktails, and you're telling us you are going to go for a full liquor license.
That's called bait and switch.
Oh, is that what it's called, Christine?
It's not. How is it bait and switch if we disclosed it up front?
We were taking the
Wait
existing
a minute.
license.
Hold on, guys. One of you is saying we're not, and one of you is saying we are. So where
All
are
right. I'm going to be quiet. I'll let John speak.
Thank you. We are applying for wine and beer. That's what the notice says. That's what this questionnaire says. This is not an application. It's a notice of our intention to file for wine and beer. We're not going to come before you for wine and beer and then go to file with the liquor authority for full liquor. It doesn't work that way.
We know that
later
you're
on,
not going to
we're
file
going for
for
wine.
full liquor because you're not applying for that. But we're talking about
That
6 months down the road.
that 6 months down the road, we're going to come back if we can work everything out with you all and be good neighbors and prove ourselves to you. We're going to come back with a notice for a class change application. The reason we're not going for full liquor now, it takes 6 months. We can get a temporary permit because we're buying a place that has a wine and beer now. In fact, they changed the law on December 21st that we didn't even have to buy the place to get a temporary permit for wine and beer. But when we do come back for full liquor in 6 months or later, after we've proven ourselves to you and listen to all the concerns today. Now, a lot of the things that were brought up today were made up as statements. They weren't questions. We could have handled most of them if they were posed as a question. What does acoustic mean? What about the street? The street's not part of this application. In any event, it's not a bait and switch. We're telling you up front, we're going for wine and beer because that's what they had before, and that's what we can get a temporary permit. We can't last 6 months. We won't be able to pay the rent. We have to get open, and you should like that because then we have a track record. If he messes up, then you're perfectly in your right to oppose full liquor. You can do that anyway if you want. And there will be, at that time, there will be a 500-foot hearing. The liquor authority is required to give deference to community boards when in a 500-foot situation. So I have to object to the statement that it's bait and switch.
Okay, Christine?
Yeah, I think the fundamental issue here is that if you were coming today for that type of license, full liquor license, based on what I'm hearing, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, it would probably be denied. So the question is that if you get a wine and beer, and in 6 months, the application is denied, what are you going to do for a business, as a business? So I think the whole issue here is to say, what is your business model? And are we going to, let me finish, John, please. Sure. You wanted to have question. Are you going to close at midnight? That's the question. That's the first question. And unless you say yes, I mean, it seems that we're going to go nowhere. And your liquor license in 6 months is not going to fly. My bet. So you need to think about that. You need to think about whether you are ready to be, organized and work in that context. Otherwise, you're going to invest a lot of money and it's not going to work because people, I think it looks like the community is going to say, forget it. So we need to reconcile that, and you need to reconcile that in your business plan because you're putting down a lot of money without a clear understanding of whether the community wants that type of establishment. And it has nothing to do with the applicant, the personality of the applicant. It's the type of establishment which doesn't seem to be a good match.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Peter in 1 second. All I want to say is we seem to some issues came up. The street, as far as the street goes, that's not part of this. The shed on the street.
John, are you going to close at midnight? Are you going to close at midnight?
Can we get to that? That'll be the next thing I'm going to talk about. As far as the street, I'm not familiar with the street itself, the actual physical thing, but the whole street program is only because of COVID. If, for God forbid, everything inside gets shut down again. New York City needs outdoor dining. I don't think there's any plan. There certainly isn't part of this plan. There certainly isn't. I think the arcade, as it's been called, the patio out there. I'm sure Peter would be willing to talk about certainly not having any music out there, what time it shuts down, maybe reducing the number of seats in the arcade. Perhaps he's willing to do that. He's going to tell you in a second. As far as the hours, he's going to talk to you about that. As far as the 74, but obviously that's not going to happen. That's going to be 74. That just matches the CO. The number of seats, we're not going to have more people than there are seats. That's just kind of, that's just common sense. It's going to be a restaurant. It's not going to be a bar. We're going for wine and beer because that's what they had before. And we can get a temporary permit for that. But if that doesn't, whether you support us now or not, we hope you do. I think Peter's going to compromise on some things in a second. I feel confident of that. If we can get through this and prove ourselves good, we'll come back and then we'll have the same conversations again, and we'll see how it went if we do get this one beer license. But I really, it's not a bait and switch.
No,
He
it's not.
originally asked me if he wanted to.
Just to reiterate
I'm sorry?
Christine's point, what she's asking is, can you survive long-term with just a beer and wine license? Because
Yes.
given what we've heard, given what I know about this block and the people who live on it, a full liquor license will be fought and fought hard. So we don't want you going in with any illusions that a full liquor license is in the cards. Even our own guidelines say we will rarely approve them on side streets. So that's
Okay,
really the issue. We don't want you to say, oh, you let us open, we're a good operator, now give us a full liquor license. That's what we do not want to hear from you 6 months or a year from now.
Well, we wouldn't ask you to give us a license. We would ask for a positive recommendation because the liquor authority gives out liquor licenses.
Correct. And I am
Peter
just
can
telling
discuss
you,
the hours.
I am just pointing out that you should go into this knowing that there will be massive opposition to a full liquor license.
And that
Okay.
really, that
You
your
have a-
business plan should not project a full liquor license. It's not a very good way to go about it.
Okay, Peter, you want to discuss the hours and the music and the microphone and the acoustics and the shed?
Yeah.
Or do you want to discuss the liquor license?
For the wine and beer, we don't need to discuss full liquor. It's not
John,
on the
we
agenda.
are going to discuss whatever we want to discuss. So we'd like to discuss the liquor license for
As
your
far
own
as
sake.
the shed
He's aware-
goes, we were talking about with the shed before. What I said was that we have no intention of putting a shed up at all. I don't like even going into any of those outdoor seating on the street. I don't like them myself. Most of them are not built well and not maintained, and they can be an eyesore. Most of them are. What I wanted to do is, again, just keep our options open in case that there is the COVID extends itself. But I think I have to speak with Otis about this. I think that's something that we could possibly take off the table. I don't know. So Otis and I need to speak about that. So what we're saying here is that we're open to negotiate in certain areas. All right. We want to be part of the community. And also, as far as not reaching out to all the members, the neighbors, I did send information out to, we sent an email out to the Manhattan Plaza Tenant Association. That's how I met Marisa, through the policy committee I think she's on. And I've heard back from Marisa. I haven't heard back from anyone else. All right, as far as meeting.
And we sent out 40 emails.
I'm sorry?
We sent out 40 emails to every group on the list, and you met with the West 43rd Block Street Association.
Yeah, I met with them over the phone prior to any application even being put forward. But
What about
anyway,
the issue of hours, Peter?
I'm sorry?
What about the issues of hours?
Hours. Yeah, I know we have 3 a.m. on our application. And the reason I put 3 a.m. on the application, and yes, our lease says 2 a.m. It's not that we were going to immediately go to the landlord. What we wanted to do, if we get the 2 a.m. opening, if a year or 2 years from now, there's no complaints, and if we see an opportunity to continue to do business in a structured way that's part of the community, not bothering any of our neighbors, and we thought there was an opportunity there, then we would go to the landlord and ask permission to extend it. That's the only reason we had it there.
Now, Peter, I think the question is, will you agree to close at midnight? That's the question.
No, we cannot do that.
Okay,
Okay.
end of discussion.
Yeah, I don't understand if you are truly a wine bar with limited food.
Yeah,
I
in
do
the
not
beginning-
understand what is going to go on there between midnight and 3.
Yeah. Otis, you want to add anything to this?
Well, first of all, it's a restaurant. Excuse my
Without a
voice.
kitchen.
It's a restaurant and it is.
We have, I'm sorry, Otis, excuse
And
me.
because it is in the theater district, even Little Shop of Horrors across the street ends at 10:30. So we want the business right away. We want to, and secondly, I have been in this neighborhood on 44th Street for 35 years. So I'm not an it or that or this. I'm Otis. I am a part of this community. I've even volunteered at Manhattan Plaza with the AIDS Project. I go to Manhattan Plaza Gym. I know the street very well. So I am definitely a part of this community for the last 35 years. So the idea is that, yes, we want to open a business. We want to have a business that will thrive and make money and bring in the community and the culture that we intend to do with Purple Tongue. And we are not saying that we are going to extend music that late. The music inside will probably end at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, period. And it's not every day. It will be on some days. We are very respectful of the community. We're very respectful of you guys having your time here. I myself have been on Zoom since 7 o'clock this morning. It is now 8:47. I've dedicated myself to this. I've dedicated myself to you. And I plan to listen to whatever it is that you want to address so that we can be neighborly for sure. But we need to know what those are. I'm sorry.
I'd like
You
to.
know, as far as who we are as people, I owned a coffee shop. I don't know who remembers, up on 9th Avenue between 34th and 33rd Street, the Red Eye Coffee. And when I had my shop, the way I managed my business there, we were outside taking care of the local people. We had a bus stop in front of us. We cleaned it every single day. We swept not just the sidewalk, but the street from 34th Street down to the end of the bus stop. We took care of the community and our neighbors. We became part of everything. All the people in the neighborhood were coming to my shop every single morning. All right, into the late afternoon. We closed at 5 o'clock in the evening. So I understand about being part of the community. I live here. I've lived here for 15, 17 years on 34th Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. So we are part of the community.
Bert or Frank, I'd like to make a motion.
Is there anyone else? I see 3 hands raised. Is there anybody else in the community?
Well, there are 2 people from the community who haven't spoken, and Marissa has her hand up again.
Okay.
Okay, the first person, I have Marissa, Mimi. Hold on one second. Marissa,
Well, let's hear from the new people first, which I think is
Okay.
me, right?
Mimi,
Sorry, guys, it's Marisa again. I just wanted to correct. The applicant did not reach out to the MPTA to get to me. They reached out to management, and they asked management to send letters and emails that never were sent to the people in the building. So I just wanted to correct. I'm sure it's a mistake, but I got the information from management, not from the MPTA. Thank you.
Mimi, you're on mute. You unmute, Mimi?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. This keeps going in and out. This is, as you know, a residential neighborhood. So when you chose to open up your restaurant, why, with your needs, you want to stay up very late, you want a liquor license, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You've explained what you need. Why did you choose this neighborhood, which is essentially a residential neighborhood, when there are other neighborhoods that would be more welcoming of your kind of business? That's all I want to know. What made you choose this neighborhood?
All right, we are We are a restaurant. That's the kind of business that we will be opening up. And we will be part of the community, and we will serve the community well. And we'll be respectful of our neighbors. That's how I ran my previous business.
Thank
That's just who we are as individuals.
Stay open.
Peter, sorry, I have to jump in. I can't get my mind around this disconnect. We have, sort of probably 30 people, some representing the 43rd Street Block Association, the Manhattan Plaza Tenants Association, who have serious problems with what you want to do here. And these are not people 10 blocks away. These are people on your block.
Well, right above you.
I don't understand how you're saying you are accommodating the community when there is sort of so much opposition to your current plans.
But they're opposite. They are proposing oppositions before you actually even know the plan, right? Because as we said,
they are telling you.
Excuse me, sir. You have an application before us. In the application, it says very specifically hours that you want, methods of operation. So it's not a question of we don't know. We have what you have presented to us in your application. And that's what I think members of the community are responding to, as are committee members here.
And what you are hearing is that a significant portion of your immediate community believes that a 3 a.m. license with live music is not appropriate for this block.
well, the live music
Not
will
saying
not
you can
go until
disagree.
3 o'clock. The live music will not go until 3 o'clock.
No, it's two separate issues. You're
is
hearing
definitely two
that
separate
live
issues.
music is not appropriate for this space, and that anything after midnight does not suit the character of this block. Now, you may disagree.
I
and
definitely disagree because I think
people have
live
different
music can
views. All
happen.
I'm
I
saying,
think live music can happen inside up until 10 o'clock as in any restaurant in this neighborhood. I go to 44, I go to Mamma Mia. She has live music until 11 o'clock, right? I go to Le Privé, they have live music until 11 o'clock as well. I think we can operate under the same. Bia is actually the same as well. I've gone to Bia and actually had a meal at 12 midnight there. So
That's right.
I'm happy to take on everything that you want us to consider, but I really want you to understand that we are here to work with the community. As we have said, and I will say this time and time again, I know this community, I know that block, I know my own block, I know every restaurant here, and I've supported them all. And I've supported what has come out of Manhattan Plaza as well for years. You asked me why I chose this space at 410, because when I was a kid and I came here from Virginia, I used to go to Good and Plenty and I used to go to Curtain Up all the time. And when I moved to New York, I moved here because I wanted to work and live on 43rd Street. I wanted to be a part of that community. When Bobby closed Adela, for bad management, by the way, I see you're praising him, but it was for bad management. He still owes his staff money.
Don't do that.
Anyway, when that space became available, I said, this is the space that we should have, because for me, it makes sense. It's out of passion, it's out of love, and it's out of the community.
And when Bobby had his business, Adela, Otis and I both frequented Adela from the very beginning. Bobby was a friend of ours. We got to know Bobby personally for many, many years.
I'm aware of the time, and I keep hearing you want to work with the community, and we have a community.
So we will have the application redone or what have you, and address some of these.
Say that again, sir?
We'll redo the application.
Are you saying you want to withdraw and come back?
Let's talk first with John about this and see how we manage it. I'm not really sure exactly the best route, so we would like to speak with John, our representative.
At this point, and then come back to us, or what?
okay, if you want, you could, all three of you could go offline. We'll continue with the next
So
three.
we have 3 more applicants before us.
And then just
Let's
call
not-
back in when you're ready to talk.
Hello.
Hold on, Kathleen, please.
Does that work? Peter and
Yeah, did John just say something?
No, that was not John.
That was not John.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, let us go offline and we'll come back to you.
okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, Otis, let's go offline and we'll call back.
Kathleen, they're gonna come back later, so if you could hold off perhaps, because we have 3 other applications before us. So we're moving on to number 6, which is 735 10th Avenue, Hassalon.
Michael Kelly, representing Hassalon.
Hi, Michael.
And with me is Moshe Ziv, if his computer is still working. And I will go through the application. This is an application for Hassalon NYC LLC. They'll be buying the assets of the current licensee, El Original, and we'll be doing an on-premise liquor license transfer, basically meaning there's a transfer of assets. Moish started managing operations about 2 years ago here, and will have a majority stake in the new entity. Some of the owners of the current licensee will be minority owners. It's a full-service Mediterranean restaurant. There is a first seating there that is very quiet, and the second seating is definitely more festive. The hours of operation will be 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., Monday to Saturday, and 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday, basically Sunday brunch. We'll have background music, DJ, and some live jazz. This is the same thing that's going on there now. We do have patrons that do dance, but it's mostly around their tables. There's no dance floor. There never will be a dance floor. We'll stipulate to that. It's more during the second seating. People get more festive. There's 22 tables with 132 seats and 2 bars with 16 seats. There are 8 tables and 16 seats outside, all up against the building. The same number as the old Sidewalk Cafe. There's no street seating. There's a no standing zone, so you cannot put any street seating out there. Moist does have other on-premise liquor licenses with many years of experience, including Ms. Known, the Chelsea Music Hall, and Creamline, which are all located in the Chelsea market. He has Ms. Known Restaurant at 161 West 72nd, and also one at 20 Hudson Yards, to name a few. We have met with the HK 4953 Block Association and agreed to a stipulation. I'm sure Steve is here and will attest to that. If there are any questions, we are ready for them.
Yeah, Michael, I can't remember. Did you represent Hassalon back in March of this year when they came before us?
No, that was, I believe, Terry Flynn.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand that's except for things like now adding dancing. I'm trying to figure out why you're back.
I'm sorry. There's a, Moish has been managing for 2 years. Now he's going to be buying the place and becoming the majority owner. So there's a new entity coming in. It's called.
Okay, well, on the March application, Moishe was listed as the owner. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand why you're back.
Okay, so he was going to be, now he's coming in with a new entity, a new LLC. Currently, the licensee is El Original, doing business as Hassalon. Now it's going to be Hassalon NYC LLC, doing business as the same.
Okay. A couple technical things. In March, they attached a C of O that listed the C of O as 180 people, and you have it as 200. Did that get modified, or is that a mistake on the new application?
I think it was a mistake on the old application.
No, the old application has an actual C of O.
Yeah, a PA. I have the
an actual C of O. Yeah, P of A, C of O.
Okay, so I have the C of O, which lists 200.
Okay, can you clarify that in the next couple of weeks?
Yes, I can amend that to bring it down to the 180. We're at the 180 or below anyway.
All right, well, I can just change it to 180 if you're comfortable with that.
I'm very comfortable with it.
Okay, and then live music, is that going to go on till 2, or are there any limitations?
No, that's the jazz. I think 10 o'clock would be the latest, the same as it is now.
Okay, can we stipulate to some cutoff for the live music?
10 o'clock is, I don't know if what we agreed to with Steve, it's probably 8 or 10 o'clock.
He didn't put it in his email.
Put it in the email.
And we can go 10 o'clock.
Okay.
No. We cannot go 10 o'clock. I'm sorry. Okay, I was in a cab. Okay, it have to be midnight.
Okay.
Because second sitting is starting around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Okay, so you'll end the live music at midnight?
Around midnight, yeah.
Okay. And on page 5, the outdoor items page, Michael, I think it may just be the way we worded the questions, but there are 2 questions like 6 and 7 down that says, will there be no amplified music outside? And will you not allow
no music outside?
No music outside. So I'm going to change that
No.
to yes. And then you're not going to let people stand outside, right? Everyone going to have to be seated.
Yes.
Is that
But
right?
when people are if people are on the sidewalk walking, I cannot tell them what to do. But my customers, okay, are not going to stand outside.
The people you serve will all be seated.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So Michael, I'm going to
Absolutely.
change those 2 questions to yes from no on page 5.
Thank you.
Okay. That's what I got, Bert.
Okay. Are there any committee members with questions? Comments? Tweet.
Hi, I guess it's sort of for Frank, but also the owner, because they mentioned second seating, and I was wondering if there'd be the same type of crowd issues between seatings for the
No.
music.
No,
I don't think
it's only the music.
Yeah, we don't have the problems now. And most of the people at the first seating are having dinner and leaving. They're not staying around. So there's very few people left over by the time the second seating comes in.
Yeah, the issue with the prior place was they were actually going to have shows that began and ended. So, you know, with restaurant seatings, it's a little more flexible. Everyone doesn't literally arrive at the same time.
Usually, we will let the group in 15 minutes at a time. Every 15 minutes, we will have approximately, 10 to 15 people that will get in or out.
All right, thanks for the clarification.
Any additional committee members? Okay, anybody from the community? Nellie, I see some hands raised.
Yes, it's Steve Polito.
Ah, Steve.
Steve, you're on mute.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Steve.
Happy New Year. Been a little bit of a long night. I've only had 3 cocktails, so I'm doing good. Michael and Moish came to our meeting and spoke with everyone. They were well received. A couple things.
Thank you.
Sure. They've been operating there for, like they said, the past couple of years. We haven't had any complaints and any problems. It's a whole, the Skyline Hotel is all above them. So if they have approval with the Skyline Hotel above them, there's not really an issue with the neighborhood. They agreed to close all any windows it's all open windows that they can have in the front with the music playing. They agreed to that.
We invited you to come to see that we already closed it with garage doors.
Well, we take your word on it. You've been a good neighbor.
Thank you.
Sure. And they agreed to no storm enclosure because there is a pretty large waiting area when you go through the doors to get in. So I think that will also take up a lot of the waiting for people waiting outside. It's pretty expansive when you're out just in that waiting area that they have. So there were no complaints. Nobody was against it. I'd like to keep talking and get this meeting to go to 10 o'clock, but that's all I have to say.
We'll do it without you, Steve.
What a pal.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good community cooperation, Steve. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else, Nellie?
No, no one else.
Okay, so to summarize what we have, and Michael, make sure you're okay with this. On page 2, we're going to change the capacity and maximum numbers from 200 to 180. On page 5, we're going to change the answers so that you will agree outside, there'll be no amplified music, and you won't allow patrons to, it'll only seated patrons for eating and drinking. And then we'll have an additional stip that says all live music will cease no later than midnight night.
Yes.
Live music, but I can have, if I have a DJ, the DJ can continue for another like half an hour.
Yeah, it's only live music that has to end at midnight.
Okay, no problem. Guys, thank you very much.
Wait, we haven't voted yet.
We haven't had.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay, to approve, obviously.
With
Second.
stipulations. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Present not eligible? And those abstaining. Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, what a relief.
Michael, thank you very much.
Hey, Moish, have a good night. Have a nice cigar.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
We're moving on to, since 7 has been postponed, to number 8, which is 404 West 49th Street, Heyday. The applicant or lawyer here?
Yeah, hi. So
Hi.
I apologize for my mistake at the beginning of the meeting. So yeah, we are Thai restaurant named Lam Lam, and we are sit-down restaurant that very focused on food. So we have 44 indoor seating at the table. 46 and 4 at the bar. And I gonna apply for the open roadside restaurant and the sidewalk for like temporary, just in case they have like, you know, like maybe they close the indoor in the future. But we don't have any music outdoor, and we don't have any live music. We open at 12 until 10 p.m. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And I don't know if Steve is going to talk about this one, but he sent us an email saying his block association met with the applicant. They agreed on the hours, doors and windows closed with any amplified sound. And I think he was otherwise okay with it.
Steve wants to speak. I see his hand is raised.
Okay, yep.
Steve, speak. Anybody from the committee?
I have a question. It says that they can have a storm enclosure. Are they aware that it should be 18 inches only?
No, and in fact, the photo they submit is a much bigger one.
I know. So the applicant, Maureen, are you aware that the maximum size of this storm enclosure should be 18 inches?
You mean the front door of the window?
No, I mean between the front door and the real wall of your property, the depth cannot be more than 18 inches.
So actually the front door is kind of like 34 feet. I mean the wide of the restaurant, and on the sidewalk is have 11 feet. So we're gonna put the table at the front. It's gonna be only like 3 feet. Yeah, and it's gonna have 8 feet left for the people to walk.
I'm talking about the storm enclosure.
I think Steve's letter noted that they agreed to not have a storm enclosure.
Right, that's mentioned.
It's gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's
that's
gonna be just.
inconsistent with the application. That's why we're asking.
Yeah, we need to fix it in the application.
Well, maybe let Steve come over and tell us what's going on.
Oh, so you mean the temporary?
Yes.
Yeah, the
Winter?
the little
No,
winter box. Yeah.
we not put that in the front.
Good.
In the front door. It's gonna be just cover in the entrance, and it's gonna be for only winter time.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to change that.
All that.
We'll change that
Steve,
answer.
Steve,
So
we
no,
need your
no
help.
storm enclosure.
Okay, Steve, can you speak? Your hand is raised.
Okay, yeah, that's That's what my impression was. We agreed to no storm enclosure. I got to say, we wouldn't be against what's, the rulings in New York City if it's 18 inches, but probably stipulate that they come and talk to someone about it before they put anything up, or just stipulate that there's no storm enclosure. We went with the Sidewalk Cafe, and we're happy with the 10 p.m. closing. That all works. Means it's a restaurant. And it's not just me, it's the people that are at the meeting and my whole block association. There were no complaints about this restaurant opening, and the applicant was well received. So there's no objections to it.
So where we are in terms of the storm enclosure? I'm still confused here.
Yeah, is the applicant understanding what we're talking about?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. So we not install any like winter storm closer. We just gonna put temporarily at the entrance. So it's gonna be only like maybe like 3 feet wide of the storm closer to close the door. Only at the winter time.
I don't think we are communicating. During the winter, you want to put a storm enclosure, which is a temporary storm enclosure, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be temporary.
So what we're trying to say is that temporary storm enclosure cannot be more than 18 inches deep.
Yeah. It's gonna be just 3 feet from the front, and it's gonna be like 3 feet wider.
Not 3 feet. You are not listening to me. It needs to be 1.5 feet maximum.
Away from.
Yeah, I agree on that. I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope we're communicating.
Yeah. Not sure.
We'll have it in that stipulation. And only be 1.5 feet away from the building line.
Mm-hmm.
The temporary enclosure. 18 inches, 1.5 feet away from the building, sticking out from the building. Okay. Any additional questions, comments?
Make a motion.
Okay, so the only change is the stipulation about the storm enclosure.
Yes.
Not extending further than 18 inches from the building facade.
Okay. All those in favor?
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Person not eligible? Abstaining. Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And the last, until the other guys come back, is number 9, 617 West 46th Street, the penthouse.
It already exists, right?
Well, it's been built. A prior applicant came to us in July of 2019 that wanted to open a catering place there, which we recommended approval, but I'm not sure that it might never have opened given the timing with COVID.
Okay, we have the attorney here who's ready to talk. Bill?
Hello, everyone. I should have with me before I begin my client, George Chow. I know he was in earlier. George, if you're here, just feel free to say hello.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
All righty. So as you guys know, this is 617 West 46th Street, the Penthouse Inc. I'm Phil Dorn. I'm an attorney with Pizetsky and Bookman. With me, who I just introduced, is George Chow, who is the owner of Penthouse. Penthouse is currently a dance studio on West 46th Street between 11th and 12th Avenue. There may be some confusion that you guys were just speaking about a prior applicant, but George has been here for 8 years now. So maybe where the confusion lies is that his premises is on the 6th floor of this commercial building. There are several different commercial tenants within the building, and his is on the top floor. So whatever you guys heard in 2019, unless George came before you guys that I'm unaware of, you guys probably heard a different floor.
I have no idea because I signed a lease just recent this place. That was the August 14th of
Right. So
Wait, Phil, I'm confused. Are you saying George has been there for 6 years or?
Yes.
Just signed a lease?
Just signed a
yes,
lease.
no, he's been there since 2014.
Yeah, no. I just here since last year, August 14th. August 14th. So in other words, that's just like 3-4 months, right?
That's 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you said 2014. Okay.
August 14th. Then I did spend like 3 months renovation and stuff. So basically, we just started operating the business since October 30th.
Right. Okay. That's where the confusion was.
Before me, there were somebody else that was probably there, but I never opened the business.
Yeah.
That's what we thought.
Got it.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I
that's-
apologize for that confusion.
Okay.
Anyways, so George operates a dance studio in this 6th floor premises. He's open and operating currently. The type of dancing that takes place there is kind of a structured dance. I mean, there's ballroom dancing, there's salsa dancing, there's tango, things of that nature. And there are classes during the day, and in the evenings they have galas and social gatherings and socials and things of that nature. George is simply looking to add food and beverage to his current business. In the past, he's gotten 1-day permits from the SLA to serve alcohol. And to the best of our knowledge, there's never been a problem. So now he's really just trying to make that permanent. This is an intimate venue, less than 75 people as far as occupancy goes. No DJs, recorded music only. And like I mentioned, the dancing is it's coordinated dancing. It's not like a nightclub where there is party dancing or anything like that. This is an actual dance studio. The last thing I'll say is that George reached out to all the block associations on the list that we received from you guys and did not hear back from anyone. We'd like to take that as unwavering support for our application, but we'll leave that to you guys.
Phil, did you say the building is all commercial?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And
In
if
fact, the
liquor-
entire block is all commercial.
Okay. And I assume this is going to morph into something different late at night since he wants a 2 a.m. license. I assume you're not having dance classes at midnight.
The classes will end, but it's not going to morph into something that we're not putting forward here. It's just going to be kind of a social gathering space open to the public.
Okay. So for the committee, we approved a catering license for this space back in 2019. What I can't remember though is we have some very detailed steps about getting an acoustic report, more detailed than usual. And I can't remember why we were so concerned, but we not only asked them to get it and implement it, but we asked the applicant not to file until the acoustic report is submitted and the full board voted on it. So it seemed like there was unusual concern about an acoustic report, but I can't really understand that given the location. Anyone have any recollection? Christine, do you remember?
No, not at all. I remember the catering. I don't remember the,
Okay, well, but does anyone think we need them to get an acoustical report?
But
Given that
they're
we
already
have-
doing the dance right now. So this
Yeah.
is just after hours, right?
Mike's hand is raised and so is Rob's.
I'm just curious. I know it's in a commercial block, but are there other buildings that we might have been concerned about at the time?
Yeah, I think what we were concerned about was Manhattan West, which
Yeah.
is between 44th and 45th on 11th.
Oh,
Exactly.
They were
That was it.
They were
That
being
was
funded
it.
by by the Print Hotel.
Yeah, you got it.
Bothered by
That,
those.
that was it. That was a concern, Frank. You're absolutely right.
Can I say something? Because we do like ballroom dancing, so we don't play loud music. Besides this particular block, I think the 3-4 blocks is no residential buildings at all. So we're small group, like take private dance lessons, like you know, I don't know if any of you are into ballroom dancing. So we teach private dance lessons and in that kind of nature. So we play the recorded music from the phone. So it will be like really quiet compared to anybody else in terms of doing like compared to clubs and stuff like that. A lot of clubs.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George.
Should not be an issue at all.
Okay, Rob?
Hi, page 4 of 9 on your application, you've got windows that can be opened. If you're on the roof, what windows will you be having that can open?
We're on the 6th floor, so basically this small
It's
building.
just operable windows on the 6th floor. That's it.
On our, of course.
They're in the front of the building?
Yes, facing 46th Street.
No. So here's what I'm saying, because in our premises, we have windows.
But what I'm saying is that if you do have any music, would you agree to keep those windows shut?
Of course. We
Yeah.
close the windows.
Later in the evening?
Yes,
That's all I was saying.
Thank you,
Yeah,
George.
we close it all the time anyway, so to begin with. We even open it.
We would, of course, be willing to agree to closing them at a certain time. I believe usually it's 10 p.m. That's what we agreed to.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, you agreed to our usual steps, 10 and 11, and whenever there's music inside, windows are closed.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Peggy, did you have your hand up? I thought I saw it.
I did, yeah, and thanks. I guess it's just a clarification question, but I mean, is it accurate to call this an establishment type of bar tavern? I mean, that's what confused me when I first looked at the application.
That's an official name from the SLA.
Yeah, it's a little tricky because it's like fitting a round peg into a square hole. There are only so many license classifications by the SLA, but this is what we feel best fits the application.
Good question.
Okay, thank you.
A learning question.
So-
Anybody else in the committee?
Well, I still have a question. As they currently, the operation is working, right? It's
Yes,
open,
we're open.
right? And it's open from what hour to what hour?
George, you can speak to that. We're open at 9 a.m. And what time do you close in the evenings?
Well, we are currently open from 9 officially at 10 o'clock. Then after 10, sometimes some people like dancers still want to hang around. We let them hang around.
We also sometimes host dancer socials and galas throughout the year. And those events, which I mentioned in the beginning, sometimes we've received one-day permits from the SLA for, have gone a little later into the evening.
So this place has never been licensed for 4 a.m. yet, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Unless the catering permit that you guys approved in the prior application was 4 a.m.
Yeah, if the catering application we recommended approval of just said, it didn't have any times. It just said the times of events would vary. So theoretically, it could have been open till 4 a.m. if they had a late event. We did not put a deadline on the hours of the events.
Okay.
Okay, any additional questions, comments? Is there anybody from the community know?
No, there's no one.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think I'm okay not requiring an acoustic report. I don't know if other people feel differently.
I don't feel we need one.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we got a second. Thank you, Carrie. All those in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Those opposed? Present not eligible, abstained. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. And
The advantage being at the end is you wear us out and
well, actually,
much pushback.
Actually, I'm hoping to not be at the end. I saw that on your agenda, you guys have a discussion about to-go cocktails. I was hoping, if you guys wouldn't mind, you'd give me just 2 minutes to speak about that on behalf of the New York City Hospitality Alliance.
Sure, but I think we're going to go back to
Numbers, what was it, numbers?
yeah, 4.
4.
All right, I'll hang around.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Which man is this?
That's you.
This is you folks.
We're
Purple
ready.
Tongue.
This is 410?
Yes. What did you decide to do?
Um,
You want to come back in a month or work something out? Or
no. Here's the bullet points. 2 a.m. Acoustic, no mic. Acoustic means no electric guitars, nothing electric, nothing amplified. Just a guitar player and or a singer, no microphone. To end inside only, to end by 11 p.m. Maximum occupancy inside 50. Maximum occupancy outside 22, which is the same as Adela had, all underneath the on the what do you call it, the arcade. We checked off no soundproofing because they put in soundproofing and you approved it and it's still there. That's the only reason we checked off no soundproofing, because it's already there. That hasn't changed. And those are the highlights. And we got to be able to make our rent. It's a theater district. Shows get out at 10:30, 11. Police officers, firefighters, nurses, and doctors work till midnight. And it's a restaurant. It's not a bar. We can have a discussion down the road, and we don't want to tie it up in this application. If you don't want full liquor later, we don't get full liquor later. But he's got too much. He's buying the business from Bobby. Bobby wants to get paid. The landlord has to get paid. They started construction. As far as noise, the construction noise and operational noises are two different things. The construction's not going to go on forever, and it's going to go back to the way it was. And we don't think you're going to see any difference between this place and the place that was there before. And we would ask for support for that.
Clarify on the live music. So you're saying there'll be no amplification whatsoever, no mics for the singer, no electric piano. It's strictly acoustic.
No plugs of any kind.
Okay.
No plugs of any kind.
So if someone's singing, they're singing a cappella.
Yes.
Okay, and it'll end by 11?
Yes.
And can we limit the number of performers to like 3 or something? 2? Okay.
2.
3. 3.
2 sounded good.
2 is fine.
Okay, and
2 is
outside,
fine.
outside you'll agree that it's 24 people all on private property and you won't seek any seating under open restaurants.
I think he
Is that
said
right?
22. I think he said 22, Frank.
Okay.
22 the same as Adela. I want to say yes. I'm a little reluctant on the outdoor thing. I haven't looked at it. It wasn't part of our submission. I don't think this coronavirus is coming back, so I would leave it to Peter about whether or not they can agree to that now. Personally, if it was me, I would agree to it. Peter?
Yeah.
Peter?
I'm sorry. Say that again, please.
Will you
They want
agree?
you to commit that you.
Will you agree that the only outdoor seating you'll have are the 22 seats on private property, and you won't seek roadway or sidewalk seating?
No, we will not. No,
You wanna
it'll just
seek
be
it?
under the arcade,
Okay.
the arcade only.
All right.
Carrie, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to clarify what Frank asked. Thank you, though. I do have a question, though, just based on all the community concern. Did you guys consider at all, like maybe 12 o'clock closing on weekdays and 2 o'clock on weekends?
We did
Sorry if
consider
I'm
that.
hard to hear.
No, you're right. We did consider that. And it is under consideration.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? It's under consideration, because we have a resolution that we're going to come up with. Now.
Peter, they're asking, will you stipulate to Peter, they're asking, will you stipulate to an earlier closing hour Sunday through, I'm assuming Wednesday?
No.
Thursday.
we want to keep the hours. We want to keep the hours till 2 a.m. Yeah, I think it's important. Maybe we will not be open all of those hours, but if we need to be open to survive, to make the money that we need to run our business, we need to be open. If we can be closing at 1 o'clock, if we find Tuesday, Wednesday nights, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights are very slow, we will close early. We don't want to spend money, all right, to keep the business open at certain hours if we're not making money. So if the clientele isn't there, we will be closing, but we'll have specific hours.
Jesse, did you have your hand up?
Tina.
Sorry.
What about Tina?
Tina, go first. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tina.
Yeah, sorry. I hear what you're saying. My problem is, and I don't want to talk about the same thing over and over, but so many residents came forward tonight, and it's hard to wrap my head around dismissing that many requests to close at the very least on a few nights at 12 midnight. I really am hoping, because you did come back with compromises, and I appreciate that. I think we all do. But when so many residents come up with the same argument and are asking you to do this, I again have to ask you, please consider at least a few nights.
Tina, we hear you, and we are certainly going to act with that in mind, of course. And we're not looking to stay open till 2 o'clock every night of the week.
All right, maybe what we could do, we'll speak about this, but maybe we want to have that we have the opportunity, we have the right to stay open till 2 a.m., 7 nights a week. But what we would agree to, and this is what I need to speak with Otis about, is maybe we choose 3 nights that we say for the first 6 months or the first year, we close 3 nights at midnight or something along those lines. Now we need to discuss this, and we will commit to that. And you see how we operate. And if we have any complaints and we don't address them and manage them and in a way that's agreeable, amenable to each and every member, then we do not stay open till 2 a.m. every night. We'll try it for 6 months or a year.
Peter, can I interject?
Yes.
If you're willing to do that, the proper way to do that is to stipulate to the earlier closing hour on whatever nights you're talking about, and get the license, prove yourself, and then come back with a changed method of operation before the committee. And if they support, based on your good behavior, then we go back to liquor authority and get it added to the license.
Okay.
That's the proper way to do it.
All right. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to stay open until 2 a.m.
No, stay open till 2 a.m. Okay. Jesse, Inga, and Christine.
Sorry if I missed this, but what's the closing time for the outdoor seating? Is it the same?
11 o'clock on weeknights and midnight on weekends.
Okay.
Whoa, where did that come from?
That's what the landlord gave us.
But it's not.
That's not what we had. In fact, on the form, you said it would close at 11 on Friday and Saturday and 10 on other days.
Right.
Well, I'll
That's
take
your application before us.
Otis, how do you feel about that?
To close the outdoors?
Yes. Did you hear what he said, the hours?
Those are the hours that you have on your application.
Wait 1 second. Otis?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Then
Thank
we'll
you.
agree.
Okay,
All right. I
Inga
apologize.
and
I
Christine.
didn't know that was on the application. I haven't looked at the application in a long time.
Inga and Christine.
Okay. So we'll accept that.
Okay, thank you. Inga?
So I think they're actually conceding to a lot of things. Frank, could you possibly, for newer members, explain the difference and ease of getting this license with or without our approval, since it is wine and beer?
Sure. So with full liquor licenses, there has to be a thing called the 500-foot hearing where an administrative law judge has to find an additional license if there are more than 3 within 500 feet is in the public interest. And that's the chief sort of hook we have to sort of argue, against a license completely, or to try to oppose something completely if an applicant won't agree to the terms we like. The 500-foot rule does not apply to beer and wine licenses. So the SLA's attitude, is that they're in the business of giving licenses, much like the Department of Motor Vehicles is, and they need a good reason not to give a license. So in full liquor, the 500-foot rule gives them a potential reason. That doesn't really exist in beer and wine. So they are generally harder to oppose. And Inga, I was going to say the same thing. I think there are some important steps here, including the outdoor location,
Outdoor, the music. Yeah.
If we just vote to recommend outright denial, we can, but it's possible the SLA will disagree with us, and then the applicant can ask for whatever they want with the SLA.
They could ask for 4
They
a.m.
could go back to 3 or 4 a.m. They could, ask for more outdoor seating. So that's really the balance. How important do we think those 2 hours are versus the other stuff they have agreed to?
So they have conceded a lot. I just wanted everyone to know the difference, and thank you, Frank.
Christine and Jesse, do you still have your hand up?
Yeah, it's back to what my concern was, which is really they are doing a beer and wine exactly for the purpose of what we're talking about, to get into the door, and then they're going to come back and ask for a full license. And then if we deny a full license, Peter, I'm sorry, this is my turn to speak.
You're going
Peter,
to make
Peter,
it.
excuse me.
Wait.
Christine is talking. Sorry, Peter. Christine is talking.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to wrap it up because we have heard everything. So I think that there is a great, first of all, the whole community, no one on the community wants to go to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. No one, period. We are a community board. We are here to represent the community and what they want, okay? So that's one thing. And to me, that means clearly a denial. And then there is the issue of how to package it to the SLA and tell them, look, they really want to have a full liquor license, but they are coming with a beer and wine. And how do we deal with that? And I think this is a major issue. We don't want every applicant to come with beer and wine with stipulation we don't like, and then 6 months later come back with something else. This is not good. This is not what we should have.
Christine,
so I think to me that's, I would be ready to make a motion to deny.
Can I say something here?
Wait, I'm sorry. I'd like to.
Anymore, Peter.
Another committee member. Carrie?
I'd like to just quickly, just to get a little clarification on what you're saying, Christine. Are you saying that if we approve this for beer and wine, that it becomes harder to not approve a full liquor license because we've already approved this?
Well, yes, they're going to be in business. They're going to be in business.
No?
Now we will be in a position to close their business.
Right, understood. Okay, thank you very much.
Right. So
Can
I
a
would
liquor license
rather
expert address that?
I would rather the
Can a liquor license expert address that?
I would rather, are we in a business session here where the applicant doesn't speak anymore, or where are we?
Continue.
Well, John is speaking. So my view is that I don't know that we even have an option. I think the whole community is against 3 o'clock closing. What are we going to do? And then we approve with the beer and wine, 3 o'clock closing, and then bingo, we get the license at 3 o'clock closing.
I thought they had agreed to 2.
No, they've said 2.
2 o'clock,
Well,
Christine.
fine too, but same difference. I mean, what I'm saying is that we get to the point where, you know, they'll come back with the license, and then I don't know that we will have an option. So that to me, this is a very difficult one, but to me, it's pretty clear that we should deny.
Can the liquor license expert address that one point, please?
We really need to complete this.
Yes.
And discuss it among
Can I?
ourselves and
Okay.
come to a resolution.
No.
Let John speak for one minute, John.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. So you're saying that you're recommending that you disapprove of wine and beer to block us from ever getting a full liquor license. Is that what you're saying? That's arbitrary and capricious under the law. Secondly, as far as what you think of as a bait and switch, you're going to have to get used to people coming in for wine and beer and expecting to come later for full liquor. And here's why. They just changed the law. You can get a temporary permit for wine and beer even if there's no transfer application, whereas before you couldn't. So all the economic press, and you should like that. You should like that because people are going to operate, and then they'll have a track record. And then if you want to fight them for full liquor, you could say, hey, we didn't like how they operated in the wine and beer, so don't give them full liquor.
Okay.
And that's my 1 minute.
Thank you, John.
Although just to correct things for the committee, if the establishment had had a full liquor license within the past 2 years, the new applicant can go for a temporary license at full liquor. These temporary permits are not limited to wine and beer. The reason it's limited here is because the prior establishment had only had a beer and wine license.
And that's
Yeah,
another thing, is that the community is saying we don't want a full liquor license. Okay,
Right, but I
so
think
not
if-
only we don't want the 2 o'clock, but we don't
Right.
want a full liquor license.
Yes, but even on this application from just beer and wine, the one thing we heard strongly was not after midnight.
Yeah. So
hours. I think
so
it's the
I'd like to propose a motion to deny.
Can I say something first?
Okay.
Go ahead,
Well, we
Mike.
can discuss the motion. I mean, you can discuss after the motion.
Yeah, well, let me just, suggest something. John has made a point here about this temporary license. Did the notice that you supplied to us comply with the latest guidelines for notice for both the license and the temporary license? That's number one. How about that, John?
No,
because they put out they put out the form on Friday. They put out the new form on Friday,
Yeah.
and they're going to honor the original. They're going to honor the original 30-day notice. So all I have to do is deliver the form to you before I apply for temporary, and prove that it's delivered. I don't have to wait 30 days. They just came out with a new form the Friday, so there's no 30-day on that. As soon as it's signed for by Nellie or whoever, we can apply. We're not ready to apply anyway. So,
Yeah, precisely, John. The rule is that had you've already given the notice, you are entitled to apply for the temporary license immediately. Those are the words, right? Those are the rules.
we were actually entitled to apply for the for a license and a temporary after the original 30-day notice, even if you had
Exactly,
and we didn't do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you had that right. So that's existing.
We wanted to meet with you.
What's that?
We wanted to meet with you. That's why we waited. I said it on the form that we were waiting. For
Right. Look, I'm in your favor, John. Hang on a second.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Same here,
I'm sorry.
same here.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the other thing. I'm always the one who has to pipe up and be the lawyer in the crowd and suggest to you that if everybody's complying with the rules, then we should not object so strenuously. Okay, if you're doing it the right way, if you have it in the back of your mind that you want to come back to us for a full liquor license, so be it. We're not mind readers. You cannot stop somebody on the assumption, right, that they're going to do something when it hasn't been affirmatively demonstrated that they will. Okay, so we don't do that. We're not mind readers.
Mike, isn't this also about the community and how, and the opposition to the hours
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that,
Sure, that's another point. That's a clearly different point altogether. But to assign an intent to these people that they're going to do something when they haven't actually.
Mike, they told us. This
Well,
is
no,
not
no.
assigning the intent. They told us what they were going to do. We are
Well,
listening
okay.
to them. This is
Well,
not assignment here. They told us.
I
this
think,
is
well,
our plan.
I heard that as wishful thinking, Christine.
No, I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not
well-
hearing that as wishful thinking.
Okay, there's a
very
resolution
clearly their
before-
plan.
Well, I
in any event,
good.
There's a resolution introduced. Was there a second?
I second.
yeah, and
Let's hear it again, Bert. Let's hear the resolution.
Frank? were you gonna say something?
the resolution is simply to recommend denial. And, you know, as I think it through, I understand the points I made about the dangers of getting a beer and wine license. But it seemed to me among the strongest things the community was saying was that even on a beer and wine license, they don't want it after midnight. And I'm having trouble just going against such universal opposition from everyone who spoke, including people who spoke on behalf of Manhattan Plaza and the 43rd Street Block Association.
And I would say that I felt from the applicant, no ability to compromise day by day. We made the suggestion, which often happens, that the 3 quote-unquote weekend days have different hours than the rest of the week. And I heard the applicant saying, maybe in actual operation we'll do that, but we don't want to agree to it in any kind of stipulation. I found that very difficult.
Just jump in with a clarifying question. Sorry, I just forget. What were the previous closing hours for the previous?
Midnight.
Midnight.
And only background music.
Can I point out something about the previous licensee?
No.
But the resolution before the committee, I think we just wanted.
No, aren't we in business session here?
It goes to that question.
Hey, we're talking among ourselves right now. Sorry, sir.
Okay, so the applicants, you don't want a clear record about the previous
We
licensee
heard
and
what
his
you had
closing
to
hours?
say before, and we appreciate what you had to say.
Oh, okay, that's how it works.
took it all
Okay, I
in.
got it.
No, we have
I
a
got it.
motion on the table.
Motion on the table that we have to address.
So should we take a vote? We have a second.
What time is it? 9:48.
I did second.
Yeah.
Okay. And the motion is to deny. Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed?
Opposed.
Okay.
Wait. I'm sorry, Bert. Can you
Okay. Yeah, you got to
start over again, please?
Okay. All those in favor of the resolution, which is to deny.
Okay, keep your hands up, please. I'm sorry. Okay.
All those in favor?
Wait. So,
Well, I thought
no.
Wait.
No.
Gonna do that again?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Those opposed now.
I guess I haven't been confused.
Right.
I'm a little confused.
You have to ask the opposition now.
Right, my chemicals are a little bit off right now. All those opposed? All those abstaining? You get all the opposed, Nellie?
How did you vote, Bert? I didn't see your hand.
You mean Bert?
I voted in favor.
In favor of the motion.
Wasn't my hand out there?
Couldn't see it.
Your hand is outside of the square.
Okay, so we have those in favor, those opposed, abstaining, present not eligible. Okay. How did we go, Nellie?
I'm sorry. I'm missing 2 votes. Can we please do it again?
Why don't you just do a roll call, Nellie? So the motion,
Yeah, I think that's better.
the motion is to recommend denial of the beer and wine license. Yeah, if you're in favor of that motion, vote yes. If you are against that motion, vote no.
Okay. Bert,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Inga? Inga?
No.
Tina?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Wendy?
No.
Jesse?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Carrie?
Yes.
Candace?
Yes.
Twee?
Yes.
Okay. Ten yes, 3 no.
No abstaining and no present at all. Okay.
To the applicant, as we said, this is going to be voted on the full board. Anyone can address the full board for 2 minutes during the public session. So if you would like to, both the community and the applicant or anyone else can speak for or against this at the full board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so
Where, go ahead.
I was going to say, so what we had on the agenda was just discussing the recent statements by the governor that she intends to make to allow bars and restaurants to serve to-go cocktails for off-premises consumption again, as was the case during the period of emergency.
Should we listen to the,
Yeah, Phil, you want to give us like really
Yes,
fast?
Yeah, I
please.
know. it's
Thank
gonna be
you.
Super quick. Thank you.
Thanks
Inga.
for hanging out, Bill.
All right. Thank you guys for hearing me again. So I just want to say a couple points about this proposed legislation. Before I jump into the details of the actual proposed legislation, I wanted to just talk quickly. The ABC law currently allows for on-premises restaurants and bars to serve beer to go. So that is something that is not going to be changing with this proposed legislation. It's something that's been around since Prohibition ended in 1933. So just to clear the air on that, that stays in place. As everyone knows, during the bad days of the pandemic, for lack of a better phrase, Cuomo had an executive order which allowed bars and restaurants to serve wine and spirits to go. This was popular for customers. It was a great lifeline for bars and restaurants at the time when there was 0% occupancy. We weren't allowed to dine indoors. And then especially during when it improved slightly to 25% and 50%, but during those times specifically, this was a great lifeline. The executive order actually extended for about a year, maybe 15 months or so. But it was really that time when occupancy indoors was 50% or below that it was very prevalent. When Cuomo ended the executive order, that's when the to-go cocktails ended. They did make one attempt to basically turn the executive order and codify it into legislation, but there was pushback on that. basically because one aspect of that executive order was that bottles of liquor and wine could be sold by on-premises restaurants and bars. This proposed legislation excludes that factor. There's no bottles that will be sold. This is just cocktails and glasses of wine to go. There are certain people and groups that are speaking out against this proposed legislation, and I just want to address one or two of their arguments very, very briefly, because we believe that those arguments are in bad faith. Those groups, which mainly are composed of liquor stores and the alliance that formulate liquor stores in New York, they believe that bars and restaurants delivering alcohol will take them out of business. There's one thing specifically that I wanted to one argument that I wanted to address, which is that they're concerned about public drinking and drinking in the streets. And I know that you guys may have that concern, so I just want to speak about that very quickly. Like I said, the very early days of this program, there was no one allowed indoors. So people were taking these drinks to go and they were drinking outdoors. That was illegal. And none of that will be happening because none of that is being proposed to be legalized. There are no open container laws in New York. There won't be any open container laws in New York. Now that indoor dining is back into full capacity, people will not be loitering outside the restaurants and drinking on the streets. This is simply pretty much for to-go delivery drinks. Someone orders delivery to their apartment. They can get a margarita with their dinner. That's basically what I wanted to leave you guys with. I know I said I'd be brief, so I'll leave you with that.
Bill, did you say there are no open container laws, or did I mishear you?
Well, there are open container laws. Open container is illegal in New York.
Right, but the problem we had, when this first started, is the open container laws were not being enforced, essentially.
Right.
Or barely.
And the biggest point we want to speak to that is that was when indoor dining was at 0% and then moved up to 25 and 50%. The open container issues that we experienced in the city were really only for a few month period from, say, March, April, when everything shut down in 2020 to the summertime, when things were bad. Once indoor dining opened back up, there were far fewer issues, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but what we experienced industry-wide is that there were far fewer issues of people drinking their to-go drinks on the street once indoor dining reopened. That executive order that allowed for to-go cocktails lasted for 15 months, and the problems really were only for that few month period. So now that we're kind of back to that, where indoor dining is at full capacity, we don't anticipate those open container issues that you guys once experienced.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. That helps. I don't know. I'm personally. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm more concerned about, the problems we have had with smoking outside the restaurants and smoking outside the bars. And that becoming the next wave of that, of, a group of people, they go out, they smoke, they take their drink with them. And now we have the issues that we have had of people being outside and, impacting the neighbors with talking is amplified, obviously. And then with an open restaurant program, which has sitting in the parking lane and sitting on the other side of the sidewalk. And now in the middle of that, you're going to have the people standing and drinking. So to me, that's the situation I'm concerned about. And that you know, that ability of people saying, oh, there is no place inside, or I'm waiting for a seat and let me have my drink outside, and being out there crowding the sidewalks. I think that's, to me, the biggest issue. I couldn't care less that people drink outside, but, and you know, during the summer, I could see that there is a real crowding around areas, and now people cannot walk on the sidewalks anymore.
Inga has her hand up, and Tina.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I realize what happened during COVID, but I think also the police, there wasn't any of the open container law enforcement, obviously. I mean, the sheds are going to stay and the sidewalk cafes are going to still be served, whether or not. The to-go law is, I think, more for home delivery. I don't know that many people so during COVID, during the bad part of COVID, everybody was outside, like he said. I mean, now people will be sitting in the cafes, sitting in the restaurants because it's hot out, it's air conditioned inside, or sitting at the sidewalk cafe. And I think that, and in the winter, who wants to stand out if you can go inside? I think it's more for takeout now. I don't think we'll have those crowds because you figure half of them are going to be inside, half of them are going to be in the sidewalk cafe. I don't think that we'll have the same issues. I just don't see that. I think it's more for to go. People got used to ordering whatever drink they wanted to go with their food and get it home. So I think it'll be different. I think it's a good thing, and I hope it is.
Tina, Wendy.
I'm just curious. I know that, or I believe back spring, Texas actually passed alcohol drinks to go, and it was signed into law from my understanding. You know, you had to seal the container, you had to either shrink wrap it or tie it, and they had some law regarding education and enforcement. I'm just curious, given the fact it's already been passed in another state, do we have any idea the ramifications like that they have suffered that we can at least take note of, or the successes that they've had? Because I don't believe we're going to be the first state. I'm almost 100% sure we're not.
Yeah. Phil, do you know, are there any, there were sort of limited restrictions on that the drinks had to be sealed, but is there any talk to more rigorous requirements of how these things are packaged?
It's all being thrown around. I don't know what the most recent form of the legislation said, but there are certainly people pushing for that, just like you guys are.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware, Tina, that other states had to go. Can you, Phil? Do you know of any experience in other states?
Texas did it back in May already. I haven't heard of any issues with it. It's more
Texas
with
is
the
the only
to-go
one that I-
containers. Yeah, they have, you know, you order your burger, fries, and a Long Island iced tea. I don't know.
Yeah. See, I think that's an important variable. If the thing actually comes in like a sealed bottle without ice,
With your
you know,
Chinese food.
right,
Yeah.
it's more likely to actually make it home. If it's served in a sippy cup with a straw, people are going to start drinking it immediately.
And that's
correct.
And that's in that state law. Texas actually specifically said you have to use a tie or shrink or whatever the language
Okay,
was.
we have Wendy and Carrie.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think that it's a positive for businesses as a continued kind of lifeline and revenue generating, and agree with Inga around, I think the bad days of the pandemic were a particular case, and mostly open container laws just were not enforced. So people were going to act the way they were going to act. So my recommendation is, I don't know if we're hoping to write a letter, if there's any kind of input from us, but one of my recommendations would be, because so many people were around during the bad days of the pandemic, to remind people that the to-go alcohol does not equal, there are no open container laws anymore. So I think that's a strong message that hopefully the state would give, but I think we would have to really reiterate. And then I think the other consideration around, tying saran wrap, whatever that is, like to also just I think we should have a strong position on that, because if it has a straw, I agree, people are going to drink it. The only other piece that I would give some consideration to, and I'm not sure if there are any safeguards for this. I don't know if like a delivery driver IDs someone, but thinking about for actual deliveries, like what stops, a teenager from placing a delivery order on Grubhub or whatever and getting alcohol delivered at home. So that would be the other thing that I don't know if Texas has handled that, but that's the other big question for me.
Thanks. Carrie, Jesse, and Peggy.
Yeah, I pretty much was going to say what Wendy said. I have 2 teenagers, so it worries me. I also I actually really appreciated the to-go option during COVID, during lockdown, I should say, because COVID is obviously still happening. But if there's some way to make the distinction between to-go and just, open, then I think that would be what we want to try to pinpoint. Thank you.
Peggy.
Yeah, just quickly. I mean, I definitely could see that, in some streets, that are popular for just, strolling. You could see added congestion, noise pollution, because people will be getting drinks and then, strolling around the streets, while they're drinking, right? Which obviously, yes, is illegal. For instance, like definitely neighborhoods in the village, that did experience a lot of noise pollution during the pandemic. That I could definitely see that happening. But I would also note too, I think we're all aware this is a wildly popular initiative. I myself, really enjoyed this option and was sad when it was, when we lost this availability. So I think it's just something to recognize that it's very, very popular. So thanks.
Jesse.
I'll keep it brief and just agree with everyone who's spoken before. And I do think this committee should come out, and this board should come out strongly in favor of this legislation and support, our restaurants who are really struggling during this time. It's definitely a lifeline for them, as Wendy said.
I will say just super quickly to the points about serving potentially teenagers via delivery or whatever it might be, and the safeguards behind that. The onus still falls on the licensee, on the restaurant or the bar that owns the liquor license, to make sure that people under the age of 21 aren't being served, and they would be putting their liquor licenses in jeopardy if people under 21 were being served. So it's the same kind of thing, whether it's in the restaurant or via to go.
Yeah, but there are major practical issues on that though, because
absolutely.
If restaurants use, if restaurants use like, Grubhub and those people to deliver, the odds of those people carding whoever is, answering the door, I think are, not great unless there's a major education campaign.
Okay, Rob, is that you?
Yeah, sorry about that. My landline died. I had to switch different phones. Anyway, just to echo, during COVID last time around, restaurants were actually delivering, but they were also carding when they delivered. At least that was the experience that I saw. But yeah, there's a big difference about delivering and to go strolling around with it, which is open container. So there are a few aspects that I'm echoing that everyone else said, but I very much agree with what has been said.
I wonder if there's a way to make a distinction that it has to be tied to delivery somehow. And I don't know if that's just a hot mess, but.
Yeah, because that changes the nature of what it is.
I think I can't remember if we actually wrote a letter, but when Brad Hoylman was talking about making this permanent, we certainly talked to them. And one of the distinctions we pushed at that time was that delivery was fine with us. The problem was,
open container.
The open container problem, the people getting to go, picking up drinks as opposed to having them delivered.
But you really can't prevent that.
Right.
That went hand in hand with the open streets, the open streets combined with the to-go
But-
drinks.
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm concerned about, Mike,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I know.
on 51st Street, we had an open street. And as soon as we had the, whatever it was called, the to-go or whatever, everybody took a drink and everybody
know.
went to the street.
It was a big party
Yes.
there. That was a big party street. It was great
Huge.
to watch it, on YouTube, not to be in person, to watch it.
Right. But the neighbors were furious.
Oh, yeah.
Where do we go
Obviously.
from here? Where do we go from here?
I guess there are three options. We don't do anything because it's not something where anyone has invited our input. Or we send a letter either supporting it or opposing it, or some gradations. I guess I don't feel strongly enough that thinks we need to send a letter because I think it's.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think to the extent I think about it, I probably sort of slightly favor it because I do agree with Phil that I think a lot of the problems came from people not being able to drink anywhere else, with friends, and now they can drink in restaurants and outdoor seating and so forth. But, I'm not sure it's worth our adding our voice to something that seems to have great popular appeal and the governor's support.
Yeah,
But again, that's just my 2 cents.
I agree.
I do think they're like advocating for sufficient resources for, like open container enforcement is obviously, it's a really, like, it's got to go hand in hand with that as well as these other measures we talked about, protective measures, control measures.
Right.
You get it.
I mean, would we write a letter to like Senator like Holyman or no?
Well, I think this would be, I don't know.
To the governor.
Probably, I don't.
It's going to be NYPD, right?
Oh, that's another issue. NYPD.
And the open container law became something of concern because there were reports of selective enforcement of it to the extent they were enforcing it.
Right.
That it was being enforced, more against minority populations.
I fully expect that it's not going to be enforced, whatever is voted there.
Yeah, I think
because the NYPD doesn't have the resource, or they don't want to have the resource, or everything we are saying here, and they don't feel this is their job.
I think the main point in a letter would be to talk about making sure the containers are sealed to not allow easy public drinking, and I'm just not sure it's worth a letter to make that point. I think that debate is well known to the people considering this.
Yeah.
What I would suggest is at this point, there's no need for us to write a letter, but I think we should be aware of how it moves forward. And if there becomes something divisive in the legislature, then we should speak up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, wait, does anyone want to make a case for writing a letter now or recommending to the full board that we write a letter now?
No.
Okay.
Second that.
Unless Peggy wants to draft a letter for us.
Yeah, I think I'm already writing one letter, so I don't have any skin in this game because someone else was going to write this one.
I wouldn't mind writing it. I just don't think it's necessarily the right time because we don't know exactly what the proposal is. If they didn't include something like an enforcement section, I think we would have to speak out because that would just be crazy not to have something written in the law regarding enforcement and education. But I haven't heard anything to speak to.
But it's a house of cards, right? Because we can't just say enforce. You have to enforce the law and then put it on NYPD, who's already, strained and has come to us so many times in other regards with 1,000 other issues that they're understaffed for. So I think if we were going to say something, it would have to be that they have to actually fund, enforcement of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The question is what are they talking
Hello,
about?
Albany, right.
Yeah.
So
All
yeah,
right.
it's tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we have a consensus. Thank you, Phil, for sticking around, and that was
thank you,
educational.
Jeff,
and
for
things
listening.
I didn't know yet.
Yeah.
Frank, on
Thank
a
you.
final note, Frank, before we end this all,
Yeah.
you know, I send you guys
Yes.
an email about the temporary licenses.
Yeah, and Ellie sent the link to the SLA's website around to the committee.
Oh,
Oh, she
thank
did?
you.
Yeah.
Oh, she
can I
did.
sh-
When-
can I-
when?
With the
Can I
updated agenda late this morning or early this afternoon.
Yeah, it was today, yeah.
Okay, so read the final part. I've got a screen share if you want to see it right quick.
No, it's like 2 pages. The SLA thing is not long. I think
No,
if you read
no,
that,
but it's worth reading. It's worth reading, and you'll be surprised to see the restrictions that are in it.
Yeah,
They mirror everything that we do. Everything
yeah,
that we do.
exactly. And in
right?
fact, one thing about this Manhattan Plaza applicant is they will only be able to get a temporary license up until midnight and
Right.
10, 11 outdoors.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you
They're
that.
gonna stuck with the terms we asked them to agree with, at least for the duration of their temporary license.
The temporary
Exactly.
license.
That's what I wanted to show
Terms
you.
that they did
you
not
know?
want to agree to, the temporary license will force.
Exactly. So they're aware of it. They know he put the thing in there. So yeah, okay, cool. Good.
Okay.
I just
All right,
want to say
thanks,
thank you
everybody.
very much.
Sorry,
'Cause
it's such a long night.
this felt very educational tonight to me. So thank you all. Thank
All
you.
right,
Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you.
Everybody, happy
Bye.
New Year.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back, Jesse.
Yes.
Thank
Good
you. Thanks, guys. Good to be back.
Bye.
Bye. You have a lot more space.